The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Sears backtracks, admits he did in fact receive emails on fuel hedge requests. The government will carry out road works on 50 roads over the next 2 years. And Gladstone Road work may start by mid-2023. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, December 9th, 2022. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Stephen Hanna will be joining us. Also this morning, we're scheduled to get a preview of the Junkanoo season with the JCNP. And later in Morning Blend Business, our Safe and Sound series, where we're talking about business, security, and safety tips for the holiday season. That's all straight ahead, but first, it's time for the Overnight, the latest breaking news from while you were sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, after repeatedly saying he had no knowledge of requests made by the Bahamas Power and Light Fuel Hedge Committee for certain trades to be executed last fall to lock in oil prices, Minister of Works Alfred Sayers, for the first time, publicly acknowledging that he had in fact received emails making those requests. Sayers making the acknowledgement at a press conference after a reporter asked him to respond to opposition leader Michael Pintard, accusing him of misleading the House on the matter. Pintard has over the course of many weeks contended that the Davis administration's failure to approve execution of those trades resulted in the substantial increases in BPL's fuel charge that customers will see in coming months. Sayers saying that several weeks ago while in New York, he took a day and brought his old iPad and went back through his email, did a search, and found that he did receive, on October 9th, 2021, an email with the attachments. He said, quote, "It was sent on to the financial secretary, which is normal because they do the technical review in terms of financial clearance, because it was really to access a loan, which is managed by the Ministry of Finance." He says the financial secretary responded stating that he didn't support it, and he passed that on to BPL, and BPL tried as best they could to persuade him. Sayers says, quote, "When I found that email trail, the first opportunity I got when I was in Parliament, and this was debating the Mental Health Act, the leader of the opposition made the allegation again. I could not sit there knowing that the first representation that I had made was not correct, and as is my duty, I got up and stated on the record of the House of Assembly that I had done a search of my email, and I had found the email on October 9th, 2021. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Works and Utilities announcing that it will carry out road works on at least 50 roads in New Providence over the next 2 years. A senior engineer at the ministry, Francis Clark, saying that the infrastructure is like a living organism which keeps growing, and once it grows, it gets older, and as it gets older, it needs to be attended to. Clark saying that the attention they're putting on the aging infrastructure is actually a temporary fix until the ministry can put a permanent fix on it. With Gladstone Road, work may begin to overhaul that thoroughfare in mid-2023. As we've been told before, Gladstone Road is planned for dualization, as they call it. The assistant engineer for civil design, Dion Monroe, says that they will give definitive dates closer to that period. Following a months-long water supply crisis on Eleuthera, Water and Sewage Corporation Chairman Sylvanus Petty led a delegation to the island yesterday. He says the government is disappointed with Aqua Design, the company charged with supplying water on the island. Petty says one of the challenges the government faces is that Aqua's contract was extended by 8 to 10 years, 4 days before the election. The Nassau Guardian previously reported in September 2021 that days before the election, the government reached a last-minute deal with Aqua for a new contract that spared residents of Eleuthera disruption in their water supply. At the time, the company threatened to cease water production if it did not receive a response from the corporation on its contract. Petty says that's one of the legal challenges they have. But he says that their minister, Alfred Sayers, who's a lawyer, is dealing with it, and that the Prime Minister is also looking into the contract. A 53-year-old man accused of indecently assaulting a 10-year-old girl has been granted $7,500 bail. Prosecutors allege that Hugh Isaac Ferguson touched the child's breasts on December 5th. Ferguson of Bonefish Drive denied the accusation at his arraignment before Magistrate Samuel McKinney. His trial set for February 2nd. Ferguson, represented by Kendall Wright. And the Court of Appeal affirming the drug possession convictions of a corrections officer and his girlfriend. Police arrested Kevan Seymour and Suzette Smith after they seized 13 ounces of marijuana while executing a search warrant on an apartment off Fire Trail Road on May 15, 2020. They were both fined $1,500 in order to avoid 3 months in prison. According to the evidence, Seymour rented the apartment for Smith from his friend Pedro Lewis at the reduced rate of $450 per month. The 49-year-old Seymour ordinarily lives at 4th Street in the Grove. However, he slept at Smith's apartment the night before police raided the home shortly after 6 a.m. The officers met Smith lying in the bed that she sometimes shared with Seymour. With the assistance of a drug-detecting dog, police found a bag filled with marijuana under the mattress. The dog also gave a positive alert to a dresser in the living room where marijuana was found under some towels. Although initially charged with drug possession with intent to supply, Magistrate Samuel McKinney convicted them of simple drug possession. Overseas, close to 60% of Haiti's capital is dominated by gangs whose violence and sexual attacks have caused thousands to flee their homes. That's according to the UN humanitarian chief in the Caribbean nation, Ulrika Richardson, saying Thursday that this has left nearly 20,000 people in the capital facing catastrophic famine-like conditions as a cholera outbreak spreads throughout Haiti. Richardson painting a grim picture of a country in a downward spiral with half its population in urgent need of food assistance as the number of cholera deaths has risen to 283. She said close to 12,000 people have been hospitalized with the disease since October 2nd, and there are now a total of more than 14,000 suspected cholera cases in 8 of the country's 10 regions. She says that all but 1,000 of the 20,000 Haitians facing starvation are in the capital, Port-au-Prince, mainly in an area controlled by gangs. Richardson says insecurity has led to massive displacement, especially in the capital, where 155,000 people have fled their homes. She said at a news conference Thursday that the gangs are using very terrifying levels of sexual violence as a weapon to keep people under control, instill fear, and punishment. And Brittany Griner returned to the United States early today, nearly 10 months after the basketball star's detention in Russia made her the most profile American jailed abroad, most high profile, and set off a political firestorm. Griner's status as an openly gay black woman, her prominence in women's basketball, and her imprisonment in a country where authorities have been hostile to the LGBTQ community heightened concerns for her and brought tremendous attention to the case. Russia's invasion of Ukraine after her arrest complicated matters further. The deal announced Thursday that saw Griner exchanged for notorious arms dealer Viktor Bout achieved a top goal for U.S. President Joe Biden, but the U.S. failed to win freedom for another American, Paul Whelan, who's been jailed for nearly 4 years. Biden's authorization to release Bout, the Russian felon once named or nicknamed the Merchant of Death, underscored the heightened urgency that his administration faced to get Griner home, particularly after the recent resolution of her criminal case on drug charges and her subsequent transfer to a penal colony. In sports, Bahamas falls to Puerto Rico. After the Bahamas took a 2-1 lead over Puerto Rico in the second inning, the visitors shut them out the rest of the way to win 14-2 at the 4th annual COCABE, the Caribbean Baseball Confederation Caribbean Baseball Cup, which continues at the Andre Rogers National Baseball Stadium. The Bahamas finishes the opening round now with a 1-3 win-loss record and locked up the 4th position in the standings. The team was advanced to the semifinals, set for Friday today, a day of rest. Puerto Rico got on the scoreboard first in the top of the first inning. They ended the night pouring in 7 runs in the top of the 9th to take the convincing 14-2 victory. In the second inning, the Bahamas left fielder Kristen Monroe hit a double to left field as the ball bounced off the wall. He then got to third base on a wild pitch to second baseman Nadari Grant. Monroe came home when Grant singled to the left field to pick up the run, batted in. Grant stole second base, and shortstop Sharif Nemore singled to center field. Grant came home to give Nemore the RBI. Bombs led 2-1 at the end of the second inning, but Puerto Rico tied it up at 2 runs apiece in the top of the third, and it just went downhill for the Bahamas from there, or uphill for Puerto Rico. You can read all about it in today's Guardian Sports section. And from the NFL, Baker Mayfield was waived by Carolina on Monday and claimed by the LA Rams on Tuesday. And after a cross-country flight, he got 1 short practice with his new team on Wednesday. But on Thursday night, Mayfield led the Rams to 2 late fourth-quarter touchdowns and a stunning 17-16 victory over the LA Raiders, capped by a 23-yard scoring pass to Van Jefferson with 10 seconds left. Mayfield could only wonder what Friday will bring in this wild week of his life, but the former number 1 overall pick knows it probably won't be more fun than one of the most amazing moments of his bumpy NFL journey. Just 2 days after the Rams claimed him, Mayfield went 22 of 35 for 230 yards and eventually snapped the defending Super Bowl champion's 6-game losing streak in dramatic style. The Rams went on a 75-yard TD drive moments before the winning drive, the latter of which ended with Mayfield finding Jefferson behind rookie Sam Webb in the end zone. The 98-yard march was the longest go-ahead TD drive in the final 2 minutes of a game over the past 45 NFL seasons. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, a high-pressure ridge remains over the islands, producing mainly pleasant conditions and gentle to moderate breezes, while a large non-tropical low-pressure system in the central Atlantic continues to generate northeasterly swells and high seas across the region. Small craft operators are advised to be alert for rough, high seas offshore, and beachgoers should stay out of the water due to rough surf resulting from moderate to large northeasterly swells. Motorists should exercise extreme caution while along the Glass Window Bridge in Eleuthera and the Fishing Hole Road in Grand Bahama. For all areas today, forecast calls for mostly sunny and warm conditions with a chance of passing isolated showers, becoming fair and mild at night with a chance of isolated showers. Smallcraft advisory remains in effect due to swells. Winds north to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet near shore, but up to 9 feet offshore in moderate to large northeasterly swells. We're looking at high temperatures getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have an extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
It is time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
The holidays are a time for reflection on the year past, reconnecting with family and friends, and indulging in brand new experiences. No matter what your holiday may bring, at Rev, we want to remind you to do it together. Play together, watch together, be together. Take time this Christmas to connect with the people and things that really matter. And let Rev take care of home for the holidays. Merry Christmas, Bahamas!
I used to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment, plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's still the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. 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 Wake up, wake up.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Tweet us, I think we said already, at Morning Blend 969. You can text us on the Guardian Radio text line, powered by BTC, 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Stephen Hanna. Stephen Hanna, good morning, sir. Let's get that. There we go.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us, as always.
That's good.
Coming up this morning, we are going to be talking with the JCNP, talking about the Junkanoo season, what we can expect. Time is flying by, fast approaching. We're going to get some details this morning. And then later in Morning Blend Business, it's our monthly Safe and Sound series. We're talking about business security and safety tips for the holidays. It's a lot to get to, but let's begin with what's in the news. And in the news, Alfred Sears, Minister of Works, making is the headlines and everything. The Nassau Guardian, Sears backtracks, admits he did in fact receive emails on the fuel hedge requests. The Tribune's headline: Sears misled House. The minister says he did not recall BPL fuel briefing email, but found them later, of course. So, boy. Our Candia Dame's writing about this after repeatedly saying he had no knowledge of requests made by Bahamas Power and Light's Fuel Hedge Committee for certain trades to be executed last fall to lock in oil prices. Minister of Works Alfred Sears, for the first time yesterday, publicly acknowledged that he had in fact received emails making those requests. Sears made the announcement, making that acknowledgement at a press conference after a reporter asked him to respond to opposition leader Michael Pintard, accusing him of misleading the House on the matter. Pintard has, over the course of many weeks, contended that the Davis administration's failure to approve the execution of those trades resulted in substantial increases in BPL's fuel charge that customers will see in the coming months. Sears yesterday saying, quote, "We were debating at that time the value-added tax amendment bill. The leader of the opposition made a statement. I did not recall having received that email, and I stated that I wrote BPL and I also wrote the PS, and I asked, could you refresh me? Did I receive it? And I didn't get a response or confirmation. Several weeks ago, I was in New York, and I took a day, and I brought my old iPad, and I went back personally, and I did a search, and I found that I did receive, I think it was on October 9th, 2021, I did receive an email with the attachments. It was sent on to the financial secretary, which is normal because they do the technical review in terms of financial clearance, because it was really to access a loan which is managed by the Ministry of Finance. The financial secretary responded stating that he didn't support it. I passed that on to BPL, and BPL tried as best they could to persuade him. When I found that email trail, the first opportunity I got when I was in Parliament, and this was debating the Mental Health Act, the Leader of the Opposition made the allegation again. I could not sit there knowing that the first representation that I had made was not correct, and as is my duty, I got up and I stated on the record of the House that I had done a search of my email, and I had found the email of October 9th, I think it was 2021, and that the response of the Financial Secretary, and I stated on the record because it was incumbent upon me to correct the previous statement that I had made. Contrary to what he said yesterday, Sears never told Parliament that he got clarification on the matter after checking his email. What he in fact told the House of Assembly on November 17th, after Pintard continued to slam the government on the issue, is that he checked with Financial Secretary Simon Wilson, who provided clarification on what had transpired. He said at the time, quote, when the Honourable Member Pintard raised this as if we were in a court of law, responses were given. I've checked with the Financial Secretary, and I've confirmed with the Financial Secretary that the documents which were provided were also provided to the Ministry of Finance, and I'll be happy to lay the response of the Financial Secretary. It was considered communicated that based on what was put to the Ministry of Finance, the proposal to execute the trades was not accepted, and some questions were asked which were not addressed satisfactorily. But what the Ministry of Finance explained to me is that any commitment of a hedge strategy would represent an obligation. BPL was not in a fiscal position to assume that itself, and therefore, through the IDB and the Ministry of Finance, both of which have the requisite technical capacity, reviewed what was put forward and did not accept it. Okay, so it goes on. Anyway, Sarah said in the House on November 17th that a cabinet paper on hedging was addressed to the Minister of Finance, and the Minister of Finance decided to reject the recommendation after reviewing it. But when asked days later about Sears' comments in the House, the Prime Minister said, quote, I saw no documents about that. Only this weekend I was provided with some information concerning that, which I am now assessing to determine all the misstatements about what actually went on. What I do know is that the Financial Secretary had some views about it proceeding, and I think those were the views that were adopted. I had no knowledge of it. He, Alfred Sears, said the Ministry of Finance had knowledge of this. That's a big ministry. It was not me. Now, while Sears previously told Parliament that the Minister of Finance did not support the execution of the trades, he shifted when a reporter asked him yesterday to respond to the Prime Minister's denial that he, meaning the PM, who was also Minister of Finance, had any involvement in rejecting the fuel hedge request. The minister said, quote, matters are sent to the Ministry of Finance relating to financial clearance, and it's dealt with as a technical issue. If a financial clearance is rejected, it's a technical question. It's normally sent to the Financial Secretary. The package that they sent included a draft cabinet paper, but that was sent to the Ministry of Finance. The proposition that was advanced was not accepted on a technical basis. Sears' latest statements on this matter are likely to raise new questions from observers, including the opposition, about the many contradictions that have been given over the course of the weeks. On October 4th, the Prime Minister announced that at a press conference that the Office of the Prime Minister, this is where it happened, that the fuel charge of 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour was increasing incrementally beginning in October all the way up to 27.6 cents per kilowatt hour next summer for consumers who consume more than 800 kilowatts per hour, which the BPL CEO later confirmed is the majority of customers. All right, let's get your reaction to this, folks. What do you make of all of this? Give us a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Wow. And what a couple of weeks for the Works Minister. Hey, it's a lot of stuff that's going on between the water crisis in Eleuthera and the horrible roads in New Providence and now this. Wouldn't want those problems if you're paid, right? Let's hear from you. What do you say? Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Okay, call us back. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. And to be so strong and adamant about not getting this, and everybody's just saying stuff, and then, my God.
Yes. I've also received emails and mistakenly done stuff, but I'm not the minister of anything, so.
And did you deny getting them?
I didn't deny. I said I didn't get them, and then.
Or you didn't see them?
Right. And then I did, or you forgot. You know. But once again, I'm not the minister of anything, so I guess.
And I doubt so many people's lives would be impacted by you not seeing your email.
Oh, you'd be surprised. But
oh, okay.
So, yeah, stuff. Well, hopefully, it gets resolved. I don't think that this is something that
it
can
won't
be
get
resolved.
No, we're already getting the bills. It's already, everything's is
Oh,
in
you mean
place.
yeah.
Yeah, it was about that. It was important. But hey, caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Stephen.
Hi.
Morning.
How are you all today?
We're doing well.
Hold it on.
Dwight, you love Christmas, eh?
Not really, but it's okay. Why do you ask? It's okay. Why do you ask?
Because I wouldn't know if you get your John Canoe ticket yet.
Oh, but we'll talk about Junkin in a few minutes.
Oh, okay. Listen, you can't say it, but I can say it. Lies, all around lies. Now, but at least Alfred says have a conscience because he realized the folly of his ways and he came back and he's trying to make amends. And when it comes to the nation's chief, well, I don't know what to believe. Because, anytime his tail get catching something, he always swallowed. He ain't got no knowledge and nothing. That's something he always does. But it's all lies, all of them lying and misleading the House of Assembly. Thanks for letting me share.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, Glenn.
Hi.
For taking my call.
Yes.
Did I hear you say 800 kilowatts per hour? Because I consume 850 kilowatts hour per month. Anyway, I feel sorry for the minister. There are really too many divergences here. When you think about it, he has to consult his whole iPhone to catch up with the emails that he should have been prompt with. Currently, what happened to this person, this permanent? We have a permanent secretary. Shouldn't they be advising him as to, 1 + 1 may not always be 2 if you're in binary, but it could be 2 if you're using the regular standard base 10. But then that's above me. But I'm wondering, shouldn't the permanent secretary? But then maybe the permanent secretary may be not a PLP, and then we'll just let him catch hell.
Well, or at least assistance. You should some assistance, somebody who can remind you about that email. You remember that email that you got from those BPL folks, sir? You should respond to that or something. Yeah,
because mind you, the guy is not, he's not electrical minded. I don't know why, but find someone to be the minister to deal with works. And,
when have we ever had anybody all the ones I can remember have been lawyers? When was the last time?
That's why I say too many divergences. I don't know if you know what I'm trying to talk about. When we think we're going up, we're actually going down. But, when you're flying, you feel like, the motion. And obviously, we're really going down. Because here it is now, we're going to be blacklisted again because of the collapse of FTX. And everybody is saying that, the Bahamas is going to face this because we have inefficient and improper regulatory environments that we let people come in and play and just expose us to the world. What's going on here, man?
Good questions. Yes, indeed.
But I want to tell you the secret, all right? Yeah, because I always drop it nicely. We know that there are web servers that are on satellite, and we know a lot of them up recently. Guy Musk know what his name is. And if I were bankman, I would have had my web server in the sky. FBI, comply high. Thank you, my brother.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I thought he said that that it was passed on to the financial sector.
Yeah, it was.
So
but, I mean,
it's not that I don't. So I thought the controversy was first he said there wasn't an email, and then he said, "Oh no, I did have." I was told about it. However, I still passed it on, and the decision wasn't made. The decision and the recommendation was not made with me.
Yes, that's what he's saying now.
Right. So I mean, he's still. It's not like
And then but he's also saying, the Ministry of Finance, the Minister of Finance, but it was really the Financial Secretary, and so
Right.
someone
I mean, but
wondered,
that is how
wondered about
how
that.
governments work, though. Whereas,
Which
like,
part?
The fact that like the minister could say something and then the financial secretary would be like, this doesn't make fiscal sense. Like that's a check and balance that we have in the system to prevent the minister from just spending money willy nilly.
Yeah, but also it seems that in this regard, the minister should have been involved in the decision making as well. The minister claims he didn't. He wasn't.
Right.
So that's also problematic because, yes, the financial secretary might see things a certain way, but the minister might say, well, this is going to be horrible for the electorate, and I can't do this. I promised them this, and if I do that, it'll be that. And so that'll be a disaster for me, so you got to make it work somehow, some way, or let's find a compromise, something in the middle. But it doesn't look like that was at all
Right. I mean,
considered here.
I was in transit, but I feel like you said at some point that he said somebody with the word finance in their name was they did not agree with BPL.
Yeah, the financial secretary.
Right. And BPL tried to convince them and they didn't go with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Not the minister.
Right. So it seems
Again.
like it falls that he's saying that it's the financial secretary.
That's what he's saying, and
Right.
that's what it seems happened.
Right.
But also, what did the minister? The minister claimed
The
it
minister's not-
wasn't before him.
I mean,
The minister happens to be the prime minister.
okay.
And again,
I
the
don't-
financial secretary can say one thing, but the minister can say, but we can't do that. We promised them this. If we do this, we're going to get destroyed. And so we need to find a way to make it work or find a way to come to a compromise. Because I get what you're saying as the financial secretary, but, we were elected on one thing.
Right.
And we don't want to be called, like what the caller said, liars. And so we need to find a way around this. So let's see some other options to make it work. It doesn't look like that happened at all. The financial secretary just decided, apparently, no.
Right.
And that was that. And
I feel like that. Yeah, right. Go ahead. Yeah.
what is the role of the financial secretary?
There we go. That's but then once again, that's me asking that question.
yeah.
Because I honestly don't know if the hierarchy within ministries and even in cabinet runs the way that we think it runs outside of it. Like, like how on paper
it
the
seems
governor general,
depending on who's around.
right? Well, that as well. But like how the governor general technically
I didn't know you bring that.
is the most powerful person in the country.
Don't even joke.
I'm not joking. That's the truth. On paper,
Not even.
on paper, he's the executive.
Cannot be.
No, but that's
let's
the point.
find a better example.
No, it's the perfect example.
It's the
In
worst.
practice, that's not what happens.
It isn't even. It's like
In the
not-
Constitution, he is. That's not a question.
Oh my God.
That's not a question.
Well, if you were the
fact
most,
that-
you couldn't be appointed by somebody else. So I don't understand.
No,
But that's a total just taking us off course.
No, but I'm
A
saying,
better
I
example.
think that the point of me using that example is, here's the example that everybody would be like, no, the governor general isn't the most powerful person in the country. The prime minister is. And I'm saying, I think even within these ministries, I don't know if the checks and the balances allow for the hierarchy to work the way we think it works. But I don't have strong opinions on this. So,
Okay.
I mean, besides the fact that okay.
Well, let's take some more calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning to you, Dwight. Good morning to you, Stephen.
Hi.
Morning.
Critical thinker. The first, just let me say that there's no data server on satellite. Or even though it's called a cloud, it's in the physical building on the ground. Cloud is the concept. This story has too many principles involved for it to be a simple mistake. If you read an email, you had to make a determination. Oh, this email is who I should forward it to the financial secretary. The process is the financial secretary would actually read it, and the financial secretary does not make a decision in isolation. The financial secretary speaks to the minister of finance and his team to see how that's accommodated. It's just that too many points of contact for this to be a simple oversight. the financial secretary, the PS in that particular ministry.
Yeah, I don't think they're
No,
saying it's
there's no
oversight.
oversight,
though.
no oversight.
Yeah,
No,
nobody's saying
it
it's
was-
oversight. They're
it-
saying that this was a decision that was made and they couldn't, the person wasn't convinced.
Right, but the problem is the denial. This goes back to the denial that was made both by the Minister of Finance and both by Mr. Alfred says, and sustained denial over a matter of weeks, both in the press and in the House of Assembly, that no such event occurred. They're now saying that this event occurred, but they're shaping the narrative
Well, one is.
that doesn't align with what actually should or could have occurred.
Mhm.
So it actually then leads to deceit, which then goes back to the Parliament. When you mislead the House, the honorable thing that's required by the Westminster system is resignation. For me, I'm not talking to the Prime Minister. I'm talking to the Minister of Finance. I find it highly impossible, almost delusional, that the various points of contact in the Ministry of Finance would not have engaged or let the Prime Minister make this, or that the Financial Secretary would have rejected this without consultation with the Prime Minister. Because if that is the case, then I mean, with the Minister of Finance, if that is the case, then the Minister of Finance should be taking action against the Financial Secretary and those within his office. And if that's not the case, then the Minister of Finance also owes us his resignation as the honorable thing to do in the House of Assembly.
Well,
This is not convoluted as we are trying to linguistically contortion this conversation. It's plain and simple because, again, and this is not the Minister of Works, the Financial Secretary, and the one person who sent the email. We have a host of points of contact along the way that can most likely be shown had access to this information. The Financial Secretary doesn't this isn't a one-man band in the Ministry of Finance. Neither is the Minister.
well, it's not supposed to be.
No, no, I don't care. See, we may want to believe, right, like Stephen said, there's some process that we may have contaminated, but it doesn't disallow that those people participated in it. The process may have been contaminated, but the people did participate. Isn't this not for people?
Yeah.
I think as the leader of opposition is called upon, the honorable thing to be done in this instance to show credibility in this whole time of crisis is for the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Works to resign their respective seats in the House of Assembly as called upon by the procedures. This has affected our economy in a drastic way. This has totally, in spite of the linguistic contortionism about how our finances is going because we're spending less money. You know, Dwight, I want you to imagine this. You have a light bill for $500, a water bill for $100. So this month you only got $400, so you only pay $200 on the light bill and $50 on the water bill, and you said, I didn't have any deficit spending. That's not reality. The reality is that you had projected that you would have had the $400 or whatever to pay the bills, and you didn't even meet that requirement. And so these are things that are happening. The impact of this decision has affected almost every business that plugs in any device anywhere in this country, which ultimately transfers to the consumers, which ultimately shows that our economic, the growth of the personal economy of these people have not grown. This is detrimental. In fact, I would go as far as this decision should call for another poll. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Some text messages here. Somebody says here, the financial secretary is acting like he's a minister. The FS does not make policy decisions. He just advises the minister, and often cabinet takes a policy decision. The minister takes it to cabinet, whose decisions are paramount, second only to Parliament. Yeah. Well, boy. We'll get back to the calls in a second. Let me read some of these messages. This person says here, the only other thing we need to hear coming out of Sears's mouth is resignation. This is a text. He is a dud and a drag on the Davis administration. Boy. Someone says here.
I mean, so I get the excitement, and we all love change, especially like dramatic change, where it feels like somebody is feeling the repercussions of their actions.
We all do, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, no, we like change when it's for other people, not with us. Right? We don't like sudden drastic change in our own lives, but however you feel, cool, sure. Who are we putting there?
That's.
No, I mean, I'm saying out of the present slate of persons who are there.
You're getting way ahead of yourself.
Oh no, I want that person to sit down and think this out. Like
they'll give somebody who already has a giant portfolio something else. That's all. This one says here, for a man, what you need to be thinking about is what I said yesterday. Just shutting down this whole ministry of works and breaking it up. But anyway, that's again. Here's a text. For a man held in such high regard, this has been a terrible term for Sears. Dismal. That's a text.
It's only been 1 year.
Well, this one says, I believe the minister was not telling the truth from the beginning. I'm editing. Now he wants to hand us a lollipop and tell us it's now okay, just pay the bills. He's trying to clear his conscience.
So, okay, I'll wait till you finish, and then I'll respond to that.
This one's saying Alfred Sears is saying a lot of words to identify that he lied. Well, thanks. That's a text. This one says here, heads need to roll. Because of this administration's ignorance and incompetence concerning this fuel hedging fiasco, we, the consumers, are feeling the brunt of this issue. Someone needs to resign forthwith. Another one here. It's very clear that the works minister... The L word is being used a lot. Lied, boy. And
that's exactly what I wanted to comment on.
Yeah, and if he insists that he didn't lie, then he clearly is suffering from memory loss and maybe even the onset of dementia. My good Lord. In which case, he's unfit to serve and should be made to step down immediately.
Okay, so Dwight, so clearly you are getting text bombed from the convention of X's because. This is the reason why every time you guys ask the Prime Minister a question, his response is, to the best of my knowledge, right? Because sometimes people misspeak. Sometimes people forget that something happened. There have been tons of times where people have been like, Stephen, you were there. And I'll be like, no, I wasn't. And then they'll say a certain detail and then be like, oh, wow, I forgot that entire event, that I was on stage talking, and there's video evidence of me being there. That happens all the time. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any repercussions. What I'm saying is, was there malicious intent, which is what is being inferred? You could still ask for him to resign. Yeah. Fine, knock yourself out, because he has responsibilities, and you hold him to a higher regard, and he's an MP, and he's a cabinet minister, and he should remember these things, and he has a role to play. That's fine. But the idea where it's like, if he forgot something versus this being malicious intent is two different things.
Yeah. And I think Seattle's onto something there. The Minister of Works really does need to explain himself. The Minister of Finance needs to explain himself, right? How he's still claiming, who is the Prime Minister, still claiming that he was not involved in this at all, and that this giant monumental decision was just handled by the financial secretary like that.
But I could see that
because crazy.
When you have these giant portfolios, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying I could see how that would happen.
Not in this regard. This is too big. This is too important.
It's too big now, but clearly at that time when it was
happening. Hedging, this is the only thing that has spared us for all these years from complete madness and chaos.
At the time, clearly it wasn't within the people who were making the decisions.
Say he was too busy traveling to know and pay attention to what was going on and how this was. And people were warning. People were talking about it. Former BPL folks, remember that recall notice that we got? From that was a warning sign from that time that we were going to have issues, and everybody's just like, "Oh no, just take that back. We won't allow that to happen. Not under my watch." Like, oh my God, madness. Let's take some more calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? Okay, let's take the other one. Good morning. You're on the air. Okay.
I guess they fuel hedge their phones.
323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. All right, this person saying, the minister and the prime minister are not telling the truth. Now we have to pay so much more money, because I'm saying some things in here that's not quite. Anyway, it was the plan to rid the hedge program, but that was to benefit the Bahamian people. editing some stuff there. Okay, well. This one says here, why wasn't the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, involved in this process? He was not doing his job. Everything in that ministry stood with him. He needs to stay in the Bahamas and stop traveling. I knew that was coming.
I mean, now that you put it out there. Dwight.
Well, no, that was sent before I said it. Another person says, let's be clear, no government technocrat can overrule a minister. The Prime Minister is responsible for the BPL fiasco, not the Financial Secretary. That is the way our system works. Ministers are always responsible for decisions made within their ministries. This person says here, C. Allen assumes the FS, the Financial Secretary, didn't make the decision on his own. The PM said he didn't know anything, and the FS had an opinion. I believe the FS is functionally the PM. That's the text. The PM appears to have been absent on many issues, and he needs to fix it. Get a team, a qualified team, not PLPs, not people you like, experts to make these critical financial decisions.
They wouldn't be functionally the Prime Minister. They'd be functionally the Minister of Finance.
You'd be surprised.
No, because not like the FS for finance isn't making decisions for other portfolios.
You would be surprised, Stephen.
Well,
okay.
Then if I would be surprised, then none of us should be surprised, because clearly the problem is the hierarchy or how the system is working. The problem is the system.
Many of us have been saying that for decades.
Yeah, not the taxes, though. The taxes aren't saying that.
This person says that the old iPad comment makes no sense because Alfred Sears can log into his email account on my phone and see all his emails, including the ones he claimed he didn't receive. Tell him to just be honest about what really happened. Someone is covering up something. Another one, the Works Minister is covering for the PM. Stephen sounds like oh, Lord.
Go ahead, read it. Don't half read it.
Apologizing and making excuses.
No, edit it, read
Stephen
the thing.
sounds like he was bought out.
Okay.
You like that?
That's the whole text?
Yeah.
That's one sentence? You waste 5 cents to say that? I mean, okay, if you say so. It's not that I was bought out. I am literally saying, hey, guys, demand all the stuff that you want. However, I don't know if you should call this lying on Sarah's part. And again, I benefit by saying that for Sarah. I don't, there's no way that would help me in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Let's take this call and a couple more messages, and then we'll take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Dwight, and good morning, Steve. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm good.
Listen, the way I see it, and listening to the messages coming in, it seems like I feel like Spears just probably forgot. He probably forgot. And when it was brought to his attention, had he checked in, I don't think it would have gotten this far, because he could have kept it out of the public domain had he dealt with it when Mr. Pintard brought it up at first. Mm-hmm. And concerning the Prime Minister involvement in this, he knew. There's no way he don't know. And if he didn't know, it's because he's never in the country long enough to be a Prime Minister of Finance, a Minister of Finance. I think his secretary, Mr. Wilson, is acting as the Minister of Finance, and he doesn't want to say so because he's never here to deal with the country's finances. How is the country being run financially when the Minister of Finance is never in place? That's a problem. So, like Stephen said, either Mr. Wilson is acting in that position, and I think he is. He's making, like I was saying, he's making more decisions than we know. Because the Prime Minister, as Minister of Finance, is never in place. He should pass that portfolio on to someone, and he should become Minister of, he should take Fred Mitchell's position and give Fred Mitchell this, because he travels more to Fred Mitchell, and I never thought I'd see that day.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. A few messages as we go to the break. This person says, noticed yesterday the press conferences between the Ministry of Works, Water and Sewerage and the Minister. In all these matters, the Minister is trying to shift the blame, but if it were a success, it would have been, let it ride. I guess they're saying it would not have been the engineers or the chairman or the reps or WSC, only the Minister creasing up smiling, but we are not stupid out here. Okay. This one says here, the Prime Minister has given the Financial Secretary too much power. The PM is too busy traveling. This one says the PM didn't know about Bamsey either. I guess when he was the works minister. This crew has dropped the ball in every instance when it comes to Bahamian people benefiting. That one, the Prime Minister needs to stay home and stop jet setting over the globe because he never knows nothing about anything, always passing the buck. Another one here, the Permanent Secretary needs to take some responsibility. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Works. It's getting very personal about stuff they're saying about people. Oh boy.
Which is inevitable because once you start down the road of all of them is lying, like here's the thing. There's going to be a point in time where politicians and the government, I have no doubt this government and every other government, will lie to you. Don't waste the word. Because when it actually comes up, if you call every time somebody had a mistake or I forgot a lie, then when you actually have a lie, nobody's going to pay attention to it because they'll be like, it's like the last time. You guys are just making noise. So let's call it what it is because it would still be bad if he forgot his job. Like that's enough. You don't need that. That's my point. But it's whatever. Apparently, I'm a PLP apologist. Somebody just messaged me that. They also misspelled apologist. But whatever.
But you know what they mean. And this final text as we go to the break. The Prime Minister flies more than birds. Oh, boy. Okay. This is Morning Blend on a Friday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us. It's time for your first good traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. Make this Christmas whatever you want it to be with an RBC personal loan. In your real-time traffic, a reminder about Boyd Road, the work that continues there, the paving work, and Village Road, areas that you want to avoid if you can. In your real-time traffic, we've got heavy traffic on Milo Butler Highway, well south of Fire Trail roundabout this morning. In the northbound lanes all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. Glaston Road also busy for you just north of Glaston Road, just north of Fire Trail, northbound to JFK Drive. Blue Hill Road also seeing some heavy traffic near Carmichael, but especially north of Soldier Road, northbound on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive. And Marathon Road, and especially Soldier Road this morning, north of the intersection with Prince Charles and Robinson Road. Very heavy traffic there on the way to the intersection with Bernard, Wolf, and Village, and some building traffic on Marathon northbound to Wolf. Pockets along Prince Charles Drive this morning, westbound, especially near Beatrice Avenue and Bernard Road near the schools in that area. That's what we're seeing in your real-time traffic. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC. Apply for a loan with RBC at rbc.com/Caribbean/loan and don't pay until February 2023. And time for another check of your weather for this morning, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. We've got a high-pressure ridge that remains over the islands, producing mainly pleasant conditions and gentle to moderate breezes, while a large non-tropical low-pressure system is out in the central Atlantic and continues to generate northeasterly swells and high seas across the region. Small craft operators are advised to be alert for rough, high seas offshore, and beachgoers should abstain from entering the water due to rough surf, resulting in moderate to large northeasterly swells. Motorists should exercise caution along the Glass Window Bridge in Eleuthera and the Fishing Hole Road in Grand Bahama. For all areas today, forecast calls for mostly sunny and warm conditions with a chance of passing isolated showers, becoming fair and mild at night with a chance of isolated showers. Small craft advisory remains in effect due to swells. Temperatures getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows getting down to about 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. In your extended outlook, a prefrontal trough expected to move into the northwest Bahamas tomorrow and continue through to the southeast Bahamas by Sunday. The low pressure area out in the Atlantic will continue to move northward, and sea swells will begin to subside over the weekend. So for Saturday, tomorrow, partly sunny and warm with a gradual increase in cloudiness, a few isolated showers near the trough. Sunday, variably cloudy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams Paints wants to make your holiday a splash jollier. November 21st through December 23rd, come deck your walls with color by stopping into either the Tonique Williams-Darling Highway or Prince Charles Drive location and take advantage of their Christmas sale of up to 20% off. And when you spend $100 or more, you enter to win prizes like hotel stays, boat excursions, interior designer consultations, and more. So stop on in to win. Sherwin-Williams Bahamas, find color in every day.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
This Christmas, Wendy's and Coca-Cola are back with $25,000 in cash.
Hook me up, hook me up.
Upgrade your premium lunch combo to a large or purchase a large salad and a Coke product and enter to win the grand prize of $10,000. Upgrade your combo, answer the skill question, and fill out your receipt. Then upload it at Wendy's Bahamas Facebook page or into the Dropbox provided. Upgrade and win big this holiday with Wendy's and Coke. Rules.
It's the most rewarding time of the year. Come down to RBC. Get a loan to buy whatever. RBC makes it better. Get a loan and don't pay till New Year.
Make Christmas what you want it to be with a personal loan from RBC. Apply at rbc.com/Caribbean/loan and don't pay till February 2023. Conditions apply.
Get a loan and don't pay till New Year. To RBC.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. In just a couple of minutes, we're going to be talking with the chairman of the JCNB about the Junkanoo season. What you need to know, all the information coming up in just a couple of minutes. All right, so just want to read a few more of these text messages before we take a break and then get to that. This person says here, morning, this is what we get when we're tired of what we got. We, as Bahamians, need to stop voting out governments and start voting for our futures and children's futures. This hedging issue, the NIB issue, the road works issue, and any number of other national issues are the result of our Bahamian poor choices of who we give the country's leadership to. Okay. Oh, boy. I thought Sears was not suited for Work's portfolio from the start. Education would have been a better fit. The Prime Minister should swap Sears and Hannah Martin. The PM is not hands-on, and Minister of Finance and Minister of State is too lackadaisical, so they really rely very heavily on the Financial Secretary. So only so much one person can do effectively without major errors. This is a major gaffe. This is a great text here. This one says, the two most powerful positions in Westminster governance are Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. And in all developed Westminster systems, one person never holds both positions. But look at our poor performance Caribbean countries. The Prime Minister holds both positions, a recipe for disaster.
Even the Chancellor.
Yeah, that's what they call it, the Chancellor of the Exchequer or something like that in the UK.
Right.
But never the same person.
Well, I mean, that's because you want checks and balances.
Yeah. What are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Sorry, checks. Sorry, it's because finance.
All right, well, somebody wants checks. I don't know why I said that. But okay, this one here, this is...
Sure.
This is something. How many more parts of my life will this one minister affect? My light bill, my water, my flat tires, my bent rims?
Tune in next week to find out.
This has nothing to do with malicious intent. It has to do with dereliction of duty.
Right. See, I'm okay with that. Right? It's like not doing your job is itself a problem.
You mean you're okay with it being branded that?
Not branded
okay
that.
with dereliction of duty.
Dereliction of duty. Right. Sorry. Right. Okay. I'm okay with it being called dereliction of duty because it's like that's a problem.
Like I support dereliction of duty
all the time.
Yeah.
All right. Dereliction of duty is a problem. If you're not doing your job, then you do need to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But like malicious intent is a different thing.
Yeah. No, it doesn't seem like it was malicious intent.
Right.
But
and
again,
so
right now it seems based on this, the bigger problem was the Minister of Finance.
I just wanted to be called what it is because otherwise, as long as we're not calling it what it is, we're never going to get to the actual point because we're going to end up doing what they do in the House of Assembly all the time, which is the same thing you was complaining about yesterday when the MP for South and Central Luther said, hey, the water is the issue. And then Pintard, I can't remember where he's from, Pintard says, oh, it looks like y'all ain't on the same page as opposed to right. And then like everybody starts talking about how could you guys be talking against each other? You're from the same party. Because even the Texans were saying that. And it's like, no, that's not the point. You guys are getting distracted by the wrong thing. So let's call it what it is. The MP said, this is a disappointment. Mm-hmm. I'd hope that this would be fixed by now.
Yeah.
Well, what is the issue that needs to be fixed?
Which is what you vote people in to do, right?
Right. He's literally there to represent their needs and their interests. Yeah. That's his primary job.
That's his number one job.
Right. And so, like, with that said, I feel the same way with this. It's like, what is the issue? Why did this thing happen? Was it an individual who made the decision to do it? Or was it oversight? Whatever it is, we can now get to it and say, all right, this should never happen again.
Huh. Okay.
I'm saying that's what we can do. But if we're still arguing about what it is, it'll be 2006. It'll be 2026, and it'll be a new election, and we still wouldn't have gotten to the point.
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hey, caller. Good morning. Okay, one second, caller. 1 second.
He might be in queue.
Caller. Good morning. No, we're not hearing him. Okay, there we go.
Dwight.
Hi, there we go.
Good morning, Stephen.
Hey, what's up, Jeff?
Right here, man. Very interesting. Let me put two very interesting points here. Let me ask a question firstly. Is it constitutionally, is it in our constitution or constitutionally correct that the Prime Minister is also supposed to hold the portfolio of Minister of Finance?
Nope.
Okay. Here's the quagmire.
I don't think it's forbidden.
There's nothing saying that he can't.
No, it's not. It's not forbidden, and but it's not necessary. The Prime Minister doesn't have to do anything.
Okay, because basically why I asked that question, these are two critical portfolios for any government to operate, and for one person to hold the two most critical portfolios in government, that is a problem. I would surmise that the Minister of Finance should be someone autonomous, someone who is not a party affiliate, someone who is supposed to look at the numbers, look at the budget, and give advice to the Prime Minister. Not the Prime Minister taking the power upon himself to be both Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. We have to fix this problem. And for far too long, we've been allowing Prime Ministers to hold that portfolio. It should be someone autonomous, someone who is not beholden to a political party, someone who is there to do the job, to ensure that the budget is balanced, as well as anything pertaining to finance for the government. They are there to give oversight and give advice to the Prime Minister before any money comes out of the Treasury or out of our consolidated fund. That's my comment for that. My final point here. The previous texters and callers are absolutely correct. Our Prime Minister is spending too much time flying over the world and not here hands-on dealing with the portfolios that he's supposed to deal with. It's kind of ludicrous for a leader to say, well, he doesn't know about this, he doesn't know about that, even though he has a permanent secretary in these areas. And two, what's going on with the permanent secretary? Why aren't they also presumably reporting these things to the Prime Minister, so when he speaks to the public, he is not perceived as he's incompetent.
Okay.
Or, and so on and so forth. So we have to fix these systems. That's all I'm saying.
Thanks a lot.
All right?
All right, we're going to go to the news and come back. When we come back, we're talking with the JCNP about Junkanoo. A lot more Morning Blend after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796. And now, day 22, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening. We've got high pressure that remains over the islands, producing mainly pleasant conditions and gentle to moderate breezes, while a large non-tropical low-pressure system out in the central Atlantic continues to generate northeasterly swells and high seas across the region. Small craft operators being advised to be alert for rough high seas offshore, and beachgoers should stay out of the water due to rough surf, resulting from moderate to large northeasterly swells. For all areas today, mostly sunny and warm with the chance of a passing shower, becoming fair and mild at night with the chance of isolated showers. Small craft advisory remains in effect due to the swells. Temperatures getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. In your extended outlook, a prefrontal trough expected to move into the northwest Bahamas by tomorrow and continue through to the southeast Bahamas by Sunday. The low-pressure area out in the Atlantic will continue to move northward, and sea swells will begin to subside over the weekend. So, for tomorrow, Saturday, partly sunny and warm with a gradual increase in cloudiness and a few isolated showers near the trough. Sunday, variably cloudy and with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. That's your Morning Blend weather check. Brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance, still the first and only local insurance company and agency network that lets you buy car and home insurance 100% online. Try it at bahamasfirst.com. Time for another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. Make this Christmas whatever you want it to be with an RBC personal loan. In your real-time traffic this morning, as usual, Milo Butler Highway is your hot spot this morning. Heavy traffic from well south of Fire Trail all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway in the northbound lanes. Gladstone Road also busy for you just north of Fire Trail up to JFK Drive. We're seeing Blue Hill Road with some heavy traffic near Soldier Road, especially north of Soldier, on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive. And Soldier Road further east, just north of Robinson Road, is seeing some heavy traffic on the way to the intersection with Bernard, Wolf, and Village. Then we've got pockets along Prince Charles Drive, mainly westbound at the major intersections this morning, and West Bay Street near Saunders Beach as you approach the roundabout with New Providence Highway and on the way to Arawak, so that's mainly eastbound. That's what we're seeing in your real-time traffic. And that's your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Apply for a loan with RBC at rbc.com/Caribbean/loan and don't pay until February 2023. And don't forget RBC's Caribbean Acts of Kindness. This Christmas, let's spread some good together. Share your story of an act of kindness on the RBC Facebook and Instagram pages, and a registered charity of your choice could be selected to receive a donation from RBC. Be inspired. Hashtag RBC Give and Get. It feels good to do good.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
And we are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Stephen Hanna. And this morning we are talking about Junkanoo. The countdown is on to Bay for Boxing Day and New Year's. And this morning we're very pleased to have back with us the chairman of the JCNP, the Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence, Dion Miller. Good morning, sir. Great to have you with us.
Good morning, Bahamas.
I know I was saying it's been so long since you had to say it, Dwight.
Right? Yeah, I had to think about it, but it's been a long time. But anyway, it's back finally. All right. So, but is this true though? Are all the tickets sold out for Boxing Day? Can I get tickets anymore?
Yeah, you still can get tickets for both the Boxing and the USA Parade. I think when everyone referred to sold out, they are referring to the Rawson Square area. Unfortunately, in our country, we think that Junkanoo, our preferred seating is just Rawson Square. But the parade route starts from Frederick Street, and it runs until East Street. So seats are still available for both parades. I would, my best estimate, I would put Boxing Day at about 80%, which is remarkable for this time of year.
That's in total, including Shirley and Bay, everything.
Yeah,
okay,
so we're at about 80%. But there are seats remaining. But I think persons are referring to those the bougie seats.
The bougie seats.
The Rawson Square seats. But our parades run from Frederick Street, and Junkanoo the energy is down at Frederick Street. That's where the groups roll over. That's where the fanfares is. That's where the hype is, and that's where you'll get the maximum output from a group. So there's still good seats, affordable seats for the parades.
Yeah. No, Alive was here earlier in the week, and they explained the situation, and that by now it's sorted out. But if you had an iPhone, if you had an iOS system, I mean, how much of a challenge was it for you? And
it was difficult. I think I was alerted on Friday evening, late Friday evening, that there was an issue with the iOS that Apple came back with that night, and they needed 48 to 72 hours to fix, and that they wasn't budging from 48 to 72 hours. So by Monday, midday or so, it was resolved. But that was unfortunate, and Apple, not like Android, Google, they're stubborn, and so that was unfortunate. But in that 48 hours, we had record amount of sales, and it caught a lot of people by surprise. Not so myself, because I understand that we haven't had these parades in 2.5, 3 years, and the need and the drive and the passion for this parades are there. And so I'm not surprised by how ticket sales are performing at this juncture.
Okay, so for those who might have missed it, explain us what we're talking about here. So initially, you can still buy tickets in person.
So you can still go visit the Alive Cable Beach store or the Alive Harbor Bay store to purchase tickets in person, as well as now we are featuring a new ability for ticket sales for Junkanoo, where you could download an app, the Alive Events app on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. You can download the app, make your purchases from the comfort of your home or wherever you are, and do your business, as opposed to in the past where the ticket box was out at the JCMP's office, which was located in the middle of Nassau Bay Street, Frederick Street. And so we've introduced a bit of technology to Junkanoo, and in many facets of Junkanoo, not just ticketing, where we strive to really improve how we produce and put on these parades.
So this was the issue initially for iOS users.
Correct.
There was a little issue there, but it's resolved now, and you can still do the remaining tickets. You can still get them through the app.
Tickets are still available. You can get tickets through your app, as well as go to the Alive, Cable Beach, or Harbor Bay stores.
Yeah. All right. So 80% sold for Boxing Day, but how are we looking for New Year's?
New Year's Day, we're about 35%. New Year's Day traditionally performs or lags behind the Boxing Day parade. In fact, persons don't switch their attention or start purchasing those tickets until after the Boxing Day parades. But we are seeing a slight a switch with this year, and so we're seeing those tickets already start to be purchased. And so persons who may have not been able to purchase your Ross and Square seat on a Boxing Day, I encourage you to don't wait. Go and make your purchases for the New Year's Day parade. They are available, and you can handle your business.
And we were talking about this off air because New Year's is on a Sunday.
Yeah, so both parades this year will be on Monday morning. Boxing Day parade will be on December 26, 12:01. The New Year's Day parades, unlike years past when it's on January 1, 2 a.m. in the morning, it will be on January 2nd, 12:01, and that's because...
It's going to be at 12:01 that early?
12:01, yep.
So when you say it's going to be at 12:01, what time is it going to start?
12:01.
Yeah, what time is the first group going to go?
12:01.
Okay.
Yeah, 12:01.
Now, normally it's a little bit later because people are in church.
It's a little bit later because persons attend church and watch night services because... it's on the second now, correct. And the reason that is because traditionally in Junkanoo, we don't parade on Sundays. That's a big no-no for us in the Junkanoo community. We have never had a Junkanoo parade on a Sunday. And so we give reverence and respect to the church in that regards. And so that is why the parade for the New Year's Day in particular will be on the 2nd at 12:01. And the parades, Stephen, will start at 12:01.
Okay.
That's what they say.
What? Why? You need to have some faith. Yeah.
No, 12:01.
I have as much faith in that nobody is going to do India, Africa, or butterflies.
So let's talk about that. If you do hold up the parade, if you do start late, what happens?
Oh, you'll be penalized. And so if you're not in place, you're not start on time, you will receive a penalty. And these parades are so close in terms of scoring that a 1 or 2% penalty point will put you out of the running. But stuff happen. We are working hard to ensure that everything is in place and everything is a go. I anticipate, Stephen, Dwight, that these will be some of the largest parades that we have ever seen in our country, and that is, you can see that by the ticket sales and the fervor for it. My phone buzzes every other minute. Persons trying to get some tickets on for these parades, and so we're working hard to ensure that everything is smooth, everything is starts on time. I think the Alive and JCMP beginning next week will be releasing information about the gate process. We know it'll be a new process where you can bring your mobile device, your e-tickets, and be scanned. And so we want to ensure that the public is abreast to that procedure and that they know exactly how to move forward with that. And so we're asking persons to the Bahamian public to be on time. The gates will open at 11 p.m. So you can come and get comfortable and get your seats and be comfortable, because when 12:01 strikes, the Junkanoo will start.
Wow. All right.
With or without you.
You said largest in terms of the audience, but what about the groups? You know, that's been an issue in the past. The size of the groups. Are we seeing any adjustments there, as far as you know?
I think, the groups will remain the size. The large groups, the larger groups, the more popular groups will still have those huge numbers. We have a full house. We have a total of 24 groups that will be participating in the parades this year.
24
groups in total. We would have had 25, but the Prodigal Sons, as you know, had a devastating fire, and so they will not be participating in the parades this year due to that fire. And so we have 6 Category A groups, we have 17 Category B groups, and we have about 25 individual participants, in addition to about 10 fun or scrap groups. And so there's going to be a lot of Junkanoo, and we just want everyone to be on time to celebrate our culture, and for me, it's a happy moment. It's something that we have been working for the past 2.5 years to get back to doing. We think that having this opportunity to celebrate our culture is vital to us as a people. And in fact, this parade will be, in some terms, in memorial as well, because we have, as a Junkanoo community, lost a lot of Junkanoos. I mean, a lot of legends, heavyweights. Over the past 2 years, if I look at the Shell Saxon Superstars, for example, they lost about 75% of their leadership.
Wow.
Due to COVID. And there are a lot of familiar faces on the parades that we will not see. For the Valley Boys, Big Jew, 360. You won't hear that this year any longer. Percy Paul, Willis Kool-Aid being from the Saxons. So many persons, and every group has been touched. And so it's just an exciting time to be able to go back and get back to doing what we're doing. I want to thank our sponsor, Live Collect, the government of Bahamas, who have stepped up in a big way. Every single group in New Providence were able to get seed funding this year, which is normally not the case. But the government worked with us. I want to thank Minister Mario Boleg and the Prime Minister Brave Davis for doing such and coming through for us.
Excellent stuff. All right, so we know that there are changes with the gate process. You mentioned that, and the tickets. But what about other changes? I know we've had time to look back and to think about this. Every year we have you on and we talk about things that need to be adjusted and tweaked. Will we see any other changes this year?
Yeah, so one of the main changes, and it's a psychological change that we're trying to implement, is we are trying to get to a determination of the parades, making the parades final a lot faster than in years in past, which has caused a lot of controversy and a lot of issues for Junkanoos and for the public. You know, when you hear unofficial and then a month later at the end of January, something changes and then, everyone feel, what something drastic has happened. And so this year, we will be adjudicating any issues, any penalties, any protests live on the parade so that by the end of the parade is over. Within 24 hours after the second independent auditor has reviewed everything, the parades will be deemed official. And so we're trying to get to a result as soon as possible for the Junkanoos and the Bahamian public. In addition to that,
how soon?
Within 24 hours, the parade will be final. We have the ability, because now we're digital, we're no longer judging using pen and paper and having to argue about is this a 7 or this is a 9. Well, spoil that ballot. Everything is digital. Everything will be run on the Alive network. And so when the judges give a score, the scores is live. It goes into automatic tabulation. And so we can get to a score as possible. It's not final yet, but we are trying to get where as soon as the parade is over, we can announce these scores.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what.
So we're striving to get.
It used to be like that a long time ago.
And then we switched it where we took it to the evening, but we're trying to get back as soon as possible to get it out there, and so we can move on and get focused on the next parade. So we're trying. We're pushing.
Okay, well that'll be good. You want to say something, Steve?
Oh no, I assumed it was on purpose to split it up so you could have like more events. Cause you can only sell so much
and
on one day.
Yeah, and it's a double-edged sword, because we try to make an event of it, but then on the flip side, you still get people, why are you taking so long? So
that's a part of the event.
Yeah.
When they say that, you say, yeah, man, go by the bar, get something to drink. They someone come. That's what you're supposed to do. I mean,
have that later for to console the people who didn't win.
No.
Oh boy,
no.
Before, you do it before.
And it's normally a lot of consoling.
Right. All right. So what else can we expect? What are we looking forward?
The Bahamians can expect an exciting, energetic parade. groups are ready. The trash talking has begun.
Yeah.
Practices are in full swing. I'm just amazed to see the thousands of persons that are at these Junkanoo practices every single weekend. So I've heard persons who haven't attended Junkanoo in decades excited about Junkanoo,
yes.
which is a good thing. And so this is going to be an exciting parade. It's going to be a fast-moving parade, I believe. And so we just want everyone to be there, be on time. It will be, in terms of broadcasting, dual broadcast. So you will have the ZNS broadcasting the parade live, as well as Rev Cable Bahamas will also be broadcasting live. And so Bahamians will have an option to select on whichever viewership they want.
That's for both parades?
For both parades.
Okay.
Both parades, you will be able to watch both Rev Cable as well as ZNS, and they will have their live broadcast and their teams and everything out there. So it's an exciting time for us as Junkanoos, an exciting time to be a Bahamian. Nice, cool weather for a change, and Junkanoo is back, so we're happy.
Well, let's hope it stays this way, right? What do we're still going to get a fancy booklet in the papers?
Oh, yeah. So when I leave here, I go downstairs to print myself right now to see any of those. So the supplement will come out, I think, next week, Friday.
Okay.
Which will have all of the information about the parades, the start times, as well as what the groups are presenting for both the boxing and the University Parade. And so our yearly supplement will be out. Stephen laughing.
Are we allowed
and
to place bets on who does out of India?
I can
out of
confirm,
Africa?
Stephen, I can confirm that there will be no Africa this year.
What?
Is there going to be out of China?
There will be no China this year.
Okay. Well, did you guys ban it or did they just...
It did not ban, but there will be a butterfly thing.
That's always a butterfly thing.
It will be a
But
butterfly.
that one,
too.
we can live with the butterfly.
No.
What? It's
I'm tired. Anyway, whatever.
China and Africa.
I got ideas.
Far too much that way.
I have ideas, but I don't
You need to join
I
the
don't-
group.
Ooh, the prodigal sons? That's the only group I ever ushered.
Okay.
So-
Well, go back. They need you.
You can't go back. Anyway.
But okay. All right, so what can you tell us about the themes, especially for Boxing Day? Can you tell us, or we have to wait for the?
You have to wait. That's a group. That's a big surprise. I don't want to get on there and then they say the chairman release all our information.
It's not
No.
a butterfly, it's a moth.
Yeah. And so next week, the supplement will be circulated in the Guardian paper. So stay tuned, and you will have an opportunity to read and see exactly in depth what these groups are presenting.
All right. So can you remind us about the order for Boxing Day? You remember it?
Yeah. So the Shell Saxon Superstars will be opening the gate in regards to the Category A group. And this is Boxing Day. They'll be followed by the Roots Junkanoo group, followed by Genesis, then One Family, then the Music Makers, and the parade will be closed by the world famous Valley Boys Junkanoo group.
I'm sorry, who? I thought they.
That already that was resolved. It's
When?
been.
I don't remember
Why are
being
you all
resolved.
acting brand new? I hear everybody saying this.
I-
That was resolved how many years ago?
So so the issue with the Valley Boys was resolved earlier in the year. We came together as a community to discuss the matters at hand that led to the Valley Boys' resignation. And as Junkanoos, we determined that it's best for us to move forward unified. And so we've went through that process. All of the groups are back, including the Valley Boys. And so full house on Bay Street. The Saxons are on the clock unofficially. They're the two-time defending champion, and they will be the first Category A group on Bay Street to defend their title.
All right, so there's some conspiracy. There are always conspiracy theorists out there, right? I had an interesting discussion a few days ago. People saying
about the Prime Minister?
No, about Saxons and Valley have never been 1-2 because they want people to stay for the whole parade. Is that true? Has that ever happened?
That's not a conspiracy theory. That just makes sense.
No,
but I mean, how would that happen if it's a
They're
drawing?
lying.
If it's a drawing, but they never 1 and 2. How come that has never happened?
It has never happened.
Well, what? So what are the odds of that?
It is a strange, weird phenomenon in Junkanoo, and in that for both parades, the number one always remains one of the last numbers to be drawn, and the barrel that we use is a clear barrel. You can see inside the barrel. Everyone see when the numbers go in, but it never happens, and it is a weird phenomenon. I think people think that there's some kind of mechanism or some kind of what they call it, witchcraft that occurs. But it is strange.
Wow.
And predominantly that number one, for some reason, always ends up the likelihood with either the Saxons or the Valley Boys it is with.
But they won't ever be 1 and 2.
And when they hardly ever 1 and 2.
You say it's happened before. Our producer says it's happened before. You sure? And then did everyone leave right after? No, they stayed.
No, I think that's Junkanoo is changing.
Yeah.
So with the development of these other groups and their fan base and the growth of their fan base, it is spreading out. Of course, the Valley Boys and the Saxons are the predominant groups, but groups such as One Family, Roots, Genesis now coming on track. They're all of a strong backing, and so that I don't think that so much plays a role into keeping person's attention. So much because of their fan base and the growth and the development that those groups have been experiencing.
Okay.
I have people who stayed because they will not leave until they see colors, or they won't leave until they see Foxhill Congos.
Yeah.
And so everyone has their following, and so. Yeah, these groups are developing.
Excellent. We'll talk about the order for New Year's in a bit, but we got some calls coming in. You can call us as well. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. We're talking with the chairman of the JCNP, Dion Miller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well.
All right, thank you, and good morning to Stephen, and morning to Mr. Chairman.
Good morning,
I'm a true Bahamian, 100% Bahamian, and I love Junkanoo. I'm not a fan of any particular group. I just love Junkanoo. My question this morning is, I know all the hype with emphasis on the A groups, but I always remember that there are B groups, there are C groups, there are D groups, but I want him to explain the process of how the B groups are going to be intertwined in terms of the order. And I remember something of the fact that they starting off on Shirley Street or something of a sort like that. Can you explain the order as it relates to the B groups and how they're going to be involved in the actual process of the time when they come out?
Okay.
Good. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
That's an excellent question, and we like to tend to forget about our smaller groups. And so what we will do is to ensure that the B groups gets sufficient highlights and that persons engaged in those performances. The parade will actually start with a B group, and so the first group that you will see on the parade will be a B group.
Oh, really?
Which will be, I think, the Redland Soldiers on Boxing Day. So we have a B group will perform. The first B group and then the first A group. So it'll be the Redland Soldiers followed by the Saxons.
Okay.
Then it'll be the second B group followed by the second A group. And so they're intertwined. And so the top 6 or 7 B groups all start on Bay Street to ensure that they get the maximum exposure. And the second half, because there are so many B groups, there are about 15 plus B groups, will start on Shirley Street. So we ensure that Junkanoo is occurring simultaneously on both the Bay Street as well as the Shirley Street corridors as well. And so the B groups are entwined in the A group, the top 7 B groups, to ensure that they get maximum exposure.
And that'll be for New Year's as well. Okay, excellent. That's
in regards to the D division, which is the individual association as well, and so they will be prominent in the parade as well too. And so that is a great question, caller, because we all too many times reserve Junkanoo or feel that it's just the Saxons Valley, the bigger groups, the more popular groups, but the B groups, which are our development, which are our farm system, are just as relevant and important as those larger groups.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to ask, because we'll occasionally hear about scrap groups, right? I believe the term Group C, right? It's like, no?
Yeah.
Okay. How does one become one of those, or how do you?
A fun group?
Yeah.
And so we have a number of fun groups. So you just register, apply to the JCNP, and you can apply you can either be an A group, which is the massive group, the B, or a D in the participant, or a fun or scrap group.
So there's no C group?
We don't call it C. We just call them fun or scrap.
It's hurtful, but okay. How early may one apply, and how late can one apply?
Oh, sure. So registration is by June 1st.
So
by
June 1st is the close.
June 1st is the deadline. So anytime between April and June 1st, you can apply. You can say, hey, I'm Stephen Hanna, and we're the Stephen Hanna and Magnificence, whatever. We just want to come on Bay Street.
We would never have such a ridiculous name, but that's
whatever. But once you apply, we work with you. The government provides funding for all, even fund groups as well, to assist you in your plight to get to Bay Street as well too.
Plight.
It is a plight sometimes.
Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Morning, Dwight, Stephen, Dion.
Good morning.
Dwight, Dion said unofficially, Strachan is two-time defending champion. What does it mean unofficially?
No, I didn't say it unofficially. Strachan is the official two-time 2019 Boxing Day champion and the 2020 New Year's champion. So it's official, not unofficially. They are official.
Well, I heard you said unofficial.
Champion.
You need to check that.
Sorry.
Because that need to be corrected.
Sorry.
Okay. Two-time champion, buddy.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
See, they're already getting upset. Wow. All right. So this is an interesting question. Why don't you split the groups? And I'm like, what does that mean? And they're saying have an A on one day and a B on another day.
Just that we have toyed around with that idea, but the fear is that the public won't support as much the B groups as they would the more popular A groups.
Yeah, the A groups have
They have a larger fan base and more followers, and so we want to ensure that they get maximum, so we do it together. But that idea has been looked at for many years on giving the B groups just their special feature, but that we always come back to, hey, what would the level of support be?
I'm surprised by
for that. Yeah.
Because with the challenge we have for New Year's,
Correct.
People could see that would likely be almost a disaster.
Yeah.
But hey, let's take another call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Oh, God, it is Strachan. We need justice, law, and order in the Bahamas here. But I want to ask the chairman a question, plus I want to make a comment. The question is, what did you say about picking number one? I missed that.
No, what I said about number one is for some curious reason that the number one, for whatever reason, always remains in the barrel.
Not always. One time we won with it. You know this Bremen, right?
Yeah, that's Bremen.
Right. We won with it one day.
Yeah, one. I think the Saxons and the Valley won once coming out first. But if you look at for the past 50 years, that's what, two times sort of. How many years? So it is.
But my other point is, right? Why is it that, of course, I'm a Saxon, Stephen. My other point is, right? Why is it that you never, the committee never put any bleachers on Shirley Street? That's not nice.
That is a good question. But it's also incorrect. So for many years, bleachers were on Shirley Street, and prices for bleacher seats on Shirley Street was as little as $5, and for whatever reason, it never sold. There's this belief that Shirley Street is quote unquote for the people, and it's free, where people could stand and view the parade free, and so it doesn't perform well to sell seats and sell tickets on Shirley Street. But there's been many years and many attempts to install bleacher seats on Shirley Street, and as I stated, the last time we did it, we saw the ticket prices for the Shirley Street was $5, and we didn't sell one ticket.
Wow.
But person still went and sat on the bleachers.
Yeah.
As well.
Because
But we didn't
they
sell
were
one
thankful
ticket.
that you guys put seats for them to sit there. That's
correct.
Let's take this call before we take the break. Is that call there? Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, just a quick question. I wondered if Junkanoo, there's a talk that Junkanoo is for tourists, mostly for tourists or Bahamians, and I think it's for both. But I want to know how you respond to this one. You said you don't parade on Sundays out of respect, but when you do parade, you play Christian music and you dance in a vulgar, manner. Is Junkanoo really a Lucifer experiment, saying that you have that dichotomy where you play the music that you won't do on Sunday, but you do it in Junkanoo?
So no, Junkanoo is not anything tied to Lucifer or anything. It's a part of our Bahamian culture. And we depict many teams from all around the world or whatever fancies the organization. But in the Bahamas we are a Christian nation. But there's nothing satanic about Junkanoo. Junkanoo is rooted in our African culture.
Okay. Hey, it's a good point to take a break. When we come back, more with Dion Miller, the JCNP, and more of your questions, and more details about the Junkanoo parades. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship throughout the Bahamas, genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price. Cheney's Chesapeake Road Christmas Wonderland is open under the Big Tent. Get your Christmas trees in pink, frosted, green, or white in a variety of sizes. Musical Christmas LED and laser lights, a large variety of tree ornaments, lighted angels and Santa tree toppers, bright and lively colored Christmas balls in all sizes, garlands, wreaths, tree skirts, stockings, and lots more. Add flowers, picks, and decorative mesh to brighten up your home or office this holiday season. And don't forget the toys at Janae's Chesapeake Road. Check our selections online at www.janae's.com.
We're good for you.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
Mr. Campbell, we have your test results. Do you want the good news or the bad news first?
Good news. No, wait, bad news. Give it to me straight, doctor.
Your blood work came back. You've got erythrocytes all over.
Oh no, this can't be happening.
Here's the good news. That just means red blood cells. It's a good thing. You're completely fine.
With 99% of medical claims paid in 5 days, we're like a doctor who doesn't want to be a comedian. CG Atlantic, medical and life. Good like that.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship throughout the Bahamas, genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price.
Get a merry makeover this Christmas from Scotiabank. Apply for a Scotia Plan loan to win a home renovation. This Christmas, unwrap the celebration. $3,000 for your home, new lamp, new decor, new couch that you
Win
own.
a $3,000 home goods gift card when you apply for a Scotia Plan loan this Christmas. We're giving you the gift of a low interest rate and up to 2 months with no payments. Plan the perfect Christmas with your Scotia Plan loan. Use it for any purpose, plus benefit from flexible payment terms. Apply for a Scotia Plan loan now to enter to win a merry home makeover.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, along with Stephen Hanna. We're talking with Dion Miller with the JCNP. We talked about the order for Boxing Day, but remind us of the order for New Year's. New Year's. You have that handy in me.
Yeah, so so for the New Year's Day parade, Category A again, the first group out of the whole will be the Genesis Warhawks, and they will be followed by the Music Makers, who will be followed by the Shell Sox and Superstars, and then the Valley Boys, Roots, and the New Year's Day parade will be closed by the One Family John Canoe Community Organization. Mm-hmm. So another exciting parade. I just want to remind the public that the New Year's Day parade will not be on the traditional New Year's morning. It will be on January 2nd. So you will have the opportunity to go to all of your watch night services, your New Year's party, and then go home, rest up, and then come back and participate in John Canoe. Mm-hmm. And so those tickets are still...
Tuesday off?
And you get your Tuesday off.
No.
Yeah.
Not in January.
But for the Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So Don't try to not come to work on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, and that's a Junkanoo in there.
All right. So this person's asking again to confirm the app, the name of the app.
So the app is located in both the Google Store as well as the Apple Store, and the app name is Alive Events. Alive Events. Go and download the app.
All right. So let's talk about judging really quickly. They're all trained, all done with that.
Yeah. So the judges have all been trained, all been certified. They went through a 4 to 6 weeks training course at the Holy Cross Church. They passed out, I think, at a rate of 90% 2 weeks ago. And so we have a total of 84 Bahamian men and women that have successfully completed the course to judge the parade.
And everybody judges both parades? Or
everyone judges both parade. However, they do not know what exactly they will be judging in terms of the category until the night in question. And so it's a random draw for which category that they judge. But they are trained on all facets, all categories. And so it's just a matter of randomly selecting where on which corridor, Bay or Shirley Street, which category, music, banner, etc., that they will be judging. But we're ready. They're locked, they're loaded, and they're ready. They're doing weekly huddles where they keep refreshing and getting ready. But everything is moving smoothly in regards of the parade.
What do you find? Is it better to have a history in Junkanoo or to be someone who has never, ever been a part of it, to be impartial and to be an effective judge? What do we find?
I think, in my opinion, it's better to have a history in Junkanoo because you tend to know exactly, you tend to know more to Junkanoo. People think Junkanoo is just what they see on the two parades, but there's a lot what goes into producing those parades in terms of costume construction, the materials we use, the rhythms of our beat. And so the more you know on or have a better history of Junkanoo and what Junkanoo is, I think you make a better judge. As for people being impartial, people have their preference. In terms of judging, people judge what is beauty and what they determine fancies them. I think for me, for myself as a chairman, my goal is to make sure that the process is transparent and the process is fair.
Yeah.
What they do, who they select, or how the parade ends up and who wins, I'm not interested in. I just want a smooth transaction, smooth, transparent process.
Yeah.
So that's important to me.
We know there was an announcement not too long ago about land for some of the groups. This person's asking a text question here. I guess, why can't we have a theme park that displays Junkanoo all year round? And the big competition remains Boxing Day and New Year's Day, but a theme park that could generate jobs and revenue as well as create tourist attractions.
I feel like
So-
Barabbas says that, right?
Yeah, so we have several museums that persons or tourists and locals could go. You have Barabbas in the Tribe, your neighbors, who does an excellent job of that. We have Educulture as well. The JCMP, the Junkanoo groups, were awarded 13.2 acres of crown land off the Gladstone Road corridor for that same purposes of a Junkanoo village.
Right.
We're in the process of planning and raising funds. You know, that'll take a lot of capital, public, private capital to make that a reality. And so it's just a matter of us now executing, but we do have 13.2 acres of crown land to make a village a reality. And so we just are going to keep encouraging government as well as corporate Bahamas to continue to partner with us as we strive to make that a reality.
Yeah. And what's the timeline? How soon do you think before we can start to see that come into being?
I'd say we're in discussions now with government as well as with our corporate partners. And I'd say realistically, 2 to 3 years. We're in the infancy stage of the process. Like I said, the government gave the land, made the land available. And so now the next step is acquiring that funding to make it a reality, and then we'll see stuff happening. So right now we're at the stage where we're trying to finalize and accrue some funding for the project.
Yeah.
And they also have, like, you know, events that pop up throughout the year, like the Junkanoo Art and Music Festival.
Exactly.
So, like, it's not just
Boxing Day and
Right.
Christmas and
it's-
and we need to move away from that. Junkanoo, I think, should be a yearly thing. Certainly, we have summer parades and etc., but this need to be transformed into an industry where people could take care of their families based from the culture from Junkanoo.
This texter wants to know, what steps did we take to ensure that the money distributed to the group who had the shack fire was actually spent on Junkanoo supplies, not implying there was anything wrong done, but just wanted to know that we are taking the money and accountability seriously and approaching Junkanoo preparation seriously.
So it is a serious matter, it's a valid question. But these groups enter into a financial agreement with the government of Bahamas and with corporate Bahamas. And so I can't get into the details of those agreements because those are personal agreements. But they know what they have to do in regards to showing how funds are spent and what they do with funds. In regards to Prodigal Sons and the Fire, the JCMP is in discussions with the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture on how we can assist with that rebuild. And of course, parameters and safeguards will be put in place to ensure that funds are directed and go to do what they need to do. People think that Junkanoos are just a bunch of Junkanoo people, but we have professionals, we have lawyers, doctors, accountants. We are educated professional people, and so we are trustworthy, we are transparent. Every single year, the JCMP produces our P&L, our audited financials to the government of Bahamas, as well as our corporate partners. And so we are very responsible in regards with funds, and we take it very seriously. So safeguards are always in place in regards to funds and Junkanoo. Yeah. The issue with funds is there are not enough funds to assist persons in Junkanoo.
Yeah. We have a few more minutes left. This person's asking, you mentioned it earlier about Shirley Street, but if you don't buy tickets, can you still access the parade route to enjoy the parade or only ticket to people?
No, absolutely. So you can go on Bay Street, the Frederick Street area. That's a freestanding area. The entire Shirley Street corridor is also freestanding, as well as on the Bay Street at the end of E Street. Just after you pass the E Street light is also freestanding area for the public as well. And so those are we call traditional areas for persons to come and stand up because people enjoy that kind of Junkanoo as well. Not everyone wants to be seated on a bleacher to experience the parade, and so they are still available for the public.
Yeah. All right, I'm not sure I understand the text here. This person's saying, are you considering partnering with a network that can carry the parade live like Netflix? I mean, as opposed to ZNS and Rev TV, so you want to what?
So what I to speak on it, which is a good question.
Yeah.
A part of our agreement with Alive Rev is to step into a feature of pay-per-view where we could take Junkanoo internationally. It may not necessarily be the boxing and the New Year's Day parade, but the Junkanoo feature. But that is something that we're interested in. He's speaking about broadcasting and revenue and all that different stuff. So that's a different phase of Junkanoo. But you can view the parade on ZNS as well as Rev Cable 12 right this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. That's what the text means. Yeah. All right. So what else you want people to know as the countdown is on for Bay?
Yeah. So tickets are still available. Like I said, download that app in the Google Play Store as well as the Apple Store, a live events app, or you can visit a live store at Harbor Bay or Cable Beach. Tickets are available. Get your tickets. The Boxing Day parade tickets are selling fast. New Year's Day tickets are also available. I just want to encourage Bahamians to be out on time. This will be a huge, massive parade. Do not take for granted the start time of the parade. So we don't want you to act like a Bahamian and come 5 or 10 minutes or after the parade start. Gates will open at 11 p.m. We want everyone to be in place to support their favorite group. It's been 2.5 years, and we are excited. These groups are excited to put on the show. We are excited to display our culture, and we're just excited. We want all Bahamians to come and show support.
Mm-hmm. And as you said, both are on Mondays, Boxing Day at
12:01 a.m. sharp.
And then New Year's is going to be on
January 2nd, 12:01.
Okay.
Be there.
You got it, folks. All right. Dion, thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking with you. Dion Miller, great stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dwight.
And I guess we'll talk again maybe after boxing, get a, we'll get
update.
On how that went and what we're expecting for New Year's. Thank you again.
Absolutely.
Enjoy. We're going to take a break and then be back with Morning Glen Business. We're talking about business security and safety tips for the holiday season in our Safe and Sound series.
Is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Friday, December 9th, 2022. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I am Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. And this morning it's time for our monthly Safe and Sound series. And Gamal Nuri with Preventative Measures is back with us as we discuss business security and safety tips for the holidays. Gamal Nuri, good morning and season's greetings to you, sir.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Bahamas. Good morning, Steve. Merry Christmas and safety.
Indeed. All right. So we know this is a big time, and a lot of mischief happens around this time. So yeah, we're going to talk about that business security and safety tips, what people need to keep in mind for your business, and yeah, we'll get some tips for everybody as well. But what, in your experience, do you see as the number one in mind at this time?
Yeah, the number one thing is creating a culture. I think, we get caught up in a holiday. It's a large opportunity to create revenue, to generate revenue for your business. But it's a culture. Security and safety should be a culture year round. And the importance of ensuring your staff are aware of what their responsibilities are and what they need to do is critical. So that's it. I find that I go into businesses and the only person who knows about the security program or the security policy is perhaps the owner or the manager. When you ask staff who are actually the front line, who are your first line of defense, and the way they operate, they have very little or no understanding of the security or the rationale having security or safety mechanism in place in your business. So it has to be an embedded concept throughout the organization that is year-round. And it's enhanced during peak seasons, be it Christmas, be it Easter, be it Mother's Day, Father's Day, any high commercial day. But it should be something that it's embedded in the organization. Yeah. And staff definitely need to be the persons who are your frontline gatekeepers, and that they understand the policies, the procedures, what they need to do.
Are there types of businesses that are more vulnerable or more at risk during the holidays?
Oh, most definitely, Dwight. And that's a very good question. Again, you find too that some persons or businesses will do a cookie cutter approach where they implement security processes or procedures that are not necessarily consistent with the type of business they have. Whether it's, they guard, but the issue is not having a guard. They need to ensure that their surveillance systems, because of the size of their footprint or the type of items that they're selling, whether the type of product. So it may mean, using some type of tagging system. It may mean, again, going back to ensuring that not just a security guard is looking out for maybe shoplifting or some other type of misappropriation. So definitely you should have some type of understanding of what am I doing where am I a retailer, a wholesaler? Am I selling candies? Am I selling cars? Something can be put in your pocket or something that someone, maybe a bit more planning is required to attack that particular product. So definitely different businesses will have different risk exposure where they're located. Certain areas may be a bit more prone to attacks. Their operating times, are they actually set up online? Because then that's a whole different type of risk as well. If you're a business and so now you need to focus more on technology, cyber security systems, things of that sort. So definitely businesses have different risks, and you want to make sure that you're putting the right stop gaps that are applicable for your business, not just getting something and throwing it out there, and it has no value to what you're trying to protect.
All right, so let's talk about the different types and some advice that you'd give to them. So let's say you're retail. It's your busy season now. People are in and out of the store, as you mentioned. There are people who are shoplifting. People get overwhelmed by the number of customers that can't monitor all of the customers and the clients. So let's talk about the advice that you give to the retail sector first.
All right, so if we're in retail, then I go back to the initial point. Make sure that your staff, you may be hiring additional staff for this to help manage the peak period, but you want to ensure that your staff is aware of the types of attacks that may occur. Let's say it's shoplifting. Monitor the different trends. A person's coming in groups. So your staff, along with your security staff, and again, everybody needs to be on the same page. And they know, hey, if your retail, your customer service rep, if they identify or see something that's suspicious, then they can alert security. You may also want to can intercept that particular individual and have ask them that you would need to see their bags or whatever the case may be. Certainly, that would also include signage advising persons that you are subject to search as you're coming in, and that shoplifters or theft will be prosecuted. So those are some of your initial warnings. You would want to also, if you have the resource, I would strongly recommend, certainly for the bigger entities, that surveillance footage is immediately ready for a review, or is there some type of monitoring going on. Again, that's extra eyes. If you have multiple cameras, it isn't practical to have, if you have 20, 30 cameras and you're only able to discover events after the fact, I think you really lose the value of your surveillance system. If it's just something to confirm that the theft occurred, you want to be able to identify that the theft is occurring. So you may want to invest in an individual. Again, this is what I'm talking about. If you're going to hire additional staff, do you hire additional staff just to place on the floor, or do you hire additional staff who can now monitor your surveillance system, which gives them eyes for the entire property, as opposed to locking them into a particular aisle or a section of the property? So those are the kind of things that I would recommend for retail. Bringing everybody on the same page, and in the event something has occurred, and ensure that you have signage to advise the would-be shoplifter or the person who's going to commit theft of what's going to occur. Moving a bit further, you would also, if you have high cash volumes, you want to have on-site a drop safe. So your cashers have a cash limit. So they're not holding on their cash station a large amounts of cash. So they can either have a drop safe immediately there at the cashier, or they have a drop safe in perhaps a back room that's on a timer, or that's been secured by a third party. So that if the question comes, or if the issue comes about opening that safe, you can advise that you don't actually have access to the safe from an opening point. You can only deposit, but you cannot withdraw the cash from that safe. So these are the kind of things that you wanna be careful of. You wanna start to do as a large retail operation. I know there's quite a bit. I hope you guys got some of that, or if only a little. But those are some of the things that you would want to do as a retailer.
Yeah, and about, well, I guess this applies to everybody, not just retailers, but about moving that money once you have from the safe to the bank or whatever. Any specific tips about that? We know, I guess we still have some business owners who are taking the money themselves as opposed to using armored vehicles. What do you say to them?
Well, first of all, let's hope that as a business owner, you have a safe. And this is, again, some of the discoveries with clients when I go and I do inspections, that there's no safe on site. I'm flabbergasted that persons haven't invested in some type of safe that can hold cash over a period of time. And the concern, I know persons would say, well, someone will come in and rip the safe out. I understand that. And that is a risk as well, which can be mitigated. But the fundamental thing is, if you're having large amounts of cash, to have a safe on site, and now you organize with reputable security personnel, be they armored, be they a private security company, to assist you in organizing your movements to make your deposits. Also, you can utilize the police as a service as well. But there are many options as opposed to individuals taking that risk on themselves. And we've seen a lot of business owners, and it's happened very recently as well, where business owners are taking it upon themselves to move that cash. They have been identified by the culprits as to their processes, the way they operate, and then they're targeted and then they're attacked. If we go back again to the beginning, fundamentally, your staff, make sure that you have credible people as a part of your team. Because in many instances, the threat usually begins or is more significant internally than it is externally. So ensure that that's happening. So utilize reputable companies, armored service companies. There are even private security companies that do offer that service. And like I said, there's also the option of utilizing the police. Yes, you pay a little bit more for that service. You pay for this service because none of these entities are going to do them for free. However, the risk is what you're looking at. First, your life, and certainly there's a greater chance that your large volume or your deposit arrives where it needs to be, as opposed to putting, your life is at risk and then you lose your revenue. Yeah. So all of these things you have to really take and not be intimidated by whatever the fees may be charged by these various entities. Yeah. I think it's worth the spend. It's a reasonable spend in considering what you're exposing yourself and what loss could occur.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. So let's say you're not a retail. Maybe you're a service industry. You have clients come in and out.
To go back to retail though, I feel like there's a lot of places where you'll see a camera over the cash register to make sure the cashier doesn't steal anything, but then the actual product on the floor isn't necessarily secured, and then they don't have a security guard to protect the cashier or anything. A lot of these buildings, a lot of these businesses, they rely solely on the fact that, we have to buzz you in and out, and that's enough of security. However, I'm guessing that is that really that much of a deterrent when a person has to be buzzed in and out of an establishment?
Yeah, so is security in layers, right? And this goes back to the point about assessing the risk, assessing what is a value, what is most at risk. So a security camera or surveillance device placed over a cashier versus perhaps in the aisle, is there a security officer to protect? This is why I said earlier that you need to have a proper plan that assesses what your risks are so you can deploy the right resources. So is buzzing the person in and out? Certainly it is, because now there's some type of controlled access. Is it the full, would it stop the robbery? Would it stop the theft? Not necessarily, but it will deter a certain percentage of individuals. And this is what, when you're talking about security in layers and when you're applying a security program, right? Not a policy, a security program. This is what you're doing now. You're doing percentages. It's like a filter. Some things are going to get through at one tier, and so you're going to stop some things at this tier, but then you have another filter, then you have another filter, then you have another filter. And the closer you get to the high value asset, which whatever you determine that to be, or the most at risk asset, then you would put more controls, more impediments in place to ensure that happens. So does it stop? It stops a percentage. It isn't going to stop everybody, but it does deter a percentage of individuals. Then you have the security who should be not opening and closing the door. It irks me when I see a security who has now been tethered to a door and now acts more of a doorman than a actual monitor or observer. So how are you utilizing that security? And then with your staff, if you are in a retail store and I'm using a food store, I guess, as an example, if anybody who's working those aisles, they should be looking. The point I made earlier, you have surveillance systems deployed throughout that business. You should identify individuals who are already employed and put them to assist you in monitoring those cameras. So they're watching people as they move around the store, and so they can see the action. And even if it's a false positive, so to speak, where we go to that individual and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, excuse me, sir, we need to check your bag," and we determine that there's nothing or nothing was discovered. Maybe it was an oversight, but what do other people see in that store? That there's some proactive application. Here you may offend that customer, you apologize, maybe give them, I don't know, some store credit for the embarrassment, but the point is that you're now sending a message to other persons, and that will travel, that when you go into that store, they're going to stop and they're going to search you, coming and going if the need is. And that, again, depends on your risks. You have to do a risk assessment. You have to understand this particular product, this particular location, these operating hours are going to require these types of resources or this type of deployment of my security program.
Wow. All right. So other types of businesses, not necessarily retail, like we said, that might have clients, but not the numbers, not the volume that retailers see. What any specific things you'd recommend to them? Their business might not change much during the holidays, but and they might think they don't need to be as careful. But what would you say to them?
Well, a good example of not necessarily a product or retail is perhaps services. Again, some of my clients have been actually some, and I give them kudos. I give those businesses kudos. Would be some hairdressers who, because of the Christmas time, they get a peek in persons who want to stay legit, as they would say. I don't know. That's one of those things people say. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Right? They want to stay. They want to stay up with the way they look. So you have these peak periods, and of course they're cash intensive, right? A lot of them are cash intensive. I've encouraged a lot of them to move to some type of digital payment system or electronic payment system. But now, what is suggested to those groups who are offering a service where there's a lot of waiting is you're going to have to now really enforce your appointment system. That because you don't want to have multiple persons coming in and out of your business, especially if you decide that you're going to operate extended hours into the evening. You want to enforce an appointment system where persons are coming in by appointment. Want to enforce that you're going to have, X amount of people are going to be able to wait on your premises. You don't want to have an overwhelming of persons and then you lose control of accessibility, because a lot of times it could be that same customer who came in for also a part of the robbery effort.
Oh boy. So
Service businesses need to ensure that, and I'm talking like for personal care products, things of that sort. They need to manage those types of activities. If we're looking at, of course, festivities, people are going to be going out. They're going to be, having, dinners. They're going to have libations, and this puts a bit more pressure on that restaurant, that bar, that people will be celebrating, or even if you're having a special event. And that goes back to now, you're gonna have to put some manpower out there. You're gonna have to put some guys out there who look the part, who look not as bouncers per se, but who have a demeanor, who have a presence to sort of, again, Stephen's question, it doesn't necessarily stop the incident, but it does help to reduce the potential for the incident. You want to have, what is going to be your response plan in the event that you have a fight that breaks out? How are you going to manage that? How are you going to manage moving or asking or having a disruptive customer leave the premises without too much disruption or bringing your business, the whole business, to a stop? That comes with planning. That comes with having a procedure in place for your security providers as to how they're going to respond to, or first initially how they're going to stop or manage access. And if there is an incident that occurs on the premises, how they're going to address that to ensure that there's minimum disruption to the business. So you see these things, all of these things go back to planning, risk assessments, and how you're going to deploy the particular security asset. And if you don't see that happening, you just see, let's get some security, but you didn't give them any guidelines. Your staff is out there working your shopping floor, but you didn't give them any guidelines. You just hope and pray that they know what to do. No, you need to give them information and directives on how they to perform.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned restaurants. As you say, many of them open late.
Some of these Chinese restaurants don't even open on Monday no more.
Oh, well, some others do, and some are in some unusual and interesting places. What other tips would you give to them? And many of them don't believe they are responsible for where you park the car or leaving the restaurant and walking back to your vehicle.
Oh, you're talking about like restaurants, not takeaways. Okay.
Well, some both, but restaurants, sure. But yeah, what are they responsible for? Should they ensure that you get back to your vehicle safely, or that the walk to their establishment is not a terrifying one? What? Where do we stand? We're on our own there.
But no, I think you're legally you're on your own. Signage is important. Signage is important where the business, and this is again across the board, they stipulate what their parameters are. Are we responsible for if your car is broken into, if your car is stolen? Are we responsible for your walk from the vehicle to the restaurant or from the restaurant to the vehicle? Signage is critical, but I think any business that wants to have, because now we're looking at a different type of loss. Reputation is what you're looking at now.
Mm-hmm.
You're speaking to reputation because whereas I'm not necessarily responsible for that walk, provided it's not on your property. I mean, if it's on your property, then there's some type of responsibility or expectation that I am safe between your parking lot, your controlled parking lot, to your front door. But if that now you have to park across the street or down the road, then, it speaks to, do we now, knowing that the volume is increasing, knowing that we're going to have additional persons, do we extend that courtesy to individuals? The problem, though, I think the gray area and the fear for businesses as well, if you extend yourself, it's all fine and well if nothing goes wrong. But if something goes wrong, then that same customer who expected that service is going to now potentially use you as an opportunity to recover whatever they lost. And that calls for litigation, because you placed a security guard out there, meaning what? I took responsibility. I'm taking some type of ownership to this particular incident. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just speaking from what I've seen come about because you've extended yourself to beyond your property line. Okay? So you have to balance that to make sure that, yes, we can advise you, be careful, be safe, but we're going to draw the line here from a litigation standpoint, from a potential suit, but we're doing what we can, which is considered to be reasonable, and that's what you have to balance. What is reasonable? A non-high peak period, and that's where the debate comes. And I go back again, Dwight and Stephen. This is why you have to plan, and it goes beyond just getting your security expert like a preventative measures, right? It also should suggest that, hey, we probably need to seek some legal advice from a civil standpoint. What are we responsible for? Mm-hmm. I'm not an attorney. I can give an opinion, but it's limited to my experience as a security professional. However, if you're planning for this, the full 9 yards, if your business volume is expected to be that, then you should now look at preventative measures from a legal perspective and get an attorney to go over and then get some advice on what you should or shouldn't do.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, that sounds like a consumer protection situation, because I've never been to anybody who has with signage postage where they accept responsibility for anything.
Yeah, no one does at all.
No, but the signage should be saying that don't.
I'm saying the sign. I don't know if the sign is a legal thing, because it might just be a thing that they do, and they put it in your mind so that you leave it alone. But I actually don't know if the sign makes it. It's not a legal contract.
Well, I'm curious. So if you put up a sign and
doesn't make you not.
Right.
That doesn't make you not culpable as the person who didn't put security in place.
Especially if it's your parking lot, right? But also,
and I went there for you. I had to come to you,
right?
Because there are times where, for example, let's say you do business with somebody, right? You go there for payment, and they're like, "Oh, you have to come in for this check, or you have to sign for this. We don't do it electronically, or we won't do whatever." that person has made me come to their place, right? Or even if I just come there to
Or the
see what you
store.
have, right?
Mhm.
And I even whether or not I purchase anything, I came to your store, and the basic understanding should be that you have a level of security. The fact that you have a small sign behind the garbage that says so
Or
and
even
so,
if it's big.
right, so and so does not accept responsibility. You park here at your own risk.
Yeah.
All right, and you can say, "Oh, well, you could have gone somewhere else or whatever." That I don't know if that's a legal thing or that to me that feels like a consumer protection question. No, because to what extent are you culpable as a business?
But you
to
just said
protect
it.
your- to
You just
protect
said
your thing
it.
out?
You said risk, and risk is not necessarily a clear cut definitive. Risk indicates that we are managing the potential for whatever that threat may be.
Right, but
It doesn't see, and that's why it's important for the organization to state that this is what it is. It doesn't stop them from being sued, but it reduces the potential for loss from a legal perspective. And that's what people have to understand about sign. So sign doesn't say I'm not responsible, but the sign did say to you when you arrived. So now you accepted the risk.
Yeah, but
because I told you not to do a particular thing or that this is what could potentially happen. You decided. Nobody made you.
But see, there. If you have enough time, but you can't put up a camera, or you won't have a security.
But again, that goes back to security and layers. The camera doesn't stop it either. Neither does the security guard. So this is why you're managing the risk. You're putting it in tiers. You're putting it at different stages because you can have the security guard. You can have the armed police officer.
Yeah, but they reduce it.
You can have multiple cameras, and casinos are a prime example, right? They still experience loss, and they have massive security that occurs that's occurring on those properties.
They don't incur it at the same rates as somebody who, like a grocery store that doesn't have anything, or even a liquor store. They're not incurring it the same. The more
because they put it in tiers. That goes exactly to the point because they put it in tiers. They're not putting everything into one basket. I think what we have to appreciate with any system, be it whether you're cooking, whether you're fishing, there are going to be some stop gaps. But as a risk application, right, you want to identify as many of those as possible and put in what is reasonably expected that you can do. Reasonably expected, and that's what it boils down to.
Okay,
the reasonableness of the activity.
All right, I want to explore what you said about security guards looking the part, and also just some regular tips for folks during this time of year. We're talking with Gamal Nuri with Preventative Measures. It's our Safe and Sound series. We're discussing business security and safety tips for the holidays. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
A local paper in Grand Bahama is back every Tuesday as a section of the Nassau Guardian. Available at local stores, gas stations, pharmacies, Western Bakery, and Bellevue Gifts. Daily and, of course, on Tuesdays too. Want to reach your Grand Bahama audience? Then call Barefoot Marketing at 827-4578 or message them for ad rates via their Facebook page. Advertising opportunities now include classified ads too. Keep up with all the latest Grand Bahama news in the Guardian newspaper every Tuesday.
Helping out each other, family and everybody. It's a simple act of kindness with you, me, and RBC.
This Christmas, let's spread some good together with RBC. Share your acts of kindness stories on RBC's Caribbean Facebook and Instagram pages, and a registered charity of your choice could be selected to receive a donation from RBC because it feels good to do good.
Showing acts of kindness, RBC.
It's time for your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL. Bahamas Power and Light CEO Siobhan Cambridge says that he doesn't anticipate the power company raising capital in international financial markets in the near to medium term. BPL's former board and executives planned a rate reduction bond to raise $535 million on international markets in early 2020. However, the COVID pandemic derailed those plans. When the economy reopened in 2021, BPL said it hoped to try the markets again in August 2021. However, former Prime Minister Dr. Minnis dissolved Parliament and called an election before the company could receive cabinet approval. Cambridge confirming yesterday that the rate reduction bond is now off the table. He said things changed too much during the pandemic and that the market's appetite for rate reduction bond has changed as well. Prime Minister Philip Davis criticized that rate reduction bond plan, claiming it would have resulted in a 20% increase in electricity for customers. Once complete, a new 60-megawatt solar plant planned for New Providence will cut BPL's fuel bill by as much as $30 million. That's according to Cambridge, who says a location for the plant has not been nailed down as yet, but BPL is currently surveying possible locations. And Cable Bahamas' fiber-to-home rollout this year has been impeded by supply chain issues that led to equipment delivery delays. That's according to the company's president. He said this in a statement in the company's annual report for the 2022 fiscal year. He explained that the rollout will be a priority next year. CBL Chairman Ross McDonald said in the annual report that the company is investing $85 million to connect 60,000 homes in the next 2 years. Overseas, the former CEO of the failed cryptocurrency exchange FTX saying in a tweet today that he is willing to testify to Congress, U.S. Congress next week, but that he will be limited in what he can say and that he won't be as helpful as he'd like to be. The tweet coming in response to several tweets earlier this month from House Financial Services Committee Chair Maxine Waters, who had requested that Sam Bankman-Fried attend next week's hearings over the collapse of FTX. Waters, a California Democrat, said in a series of tweets to Bankman-Fried that based on multiple media interviews since FTX collapsed, that it was, quote, clear to us that you have information you have thus far is sufficient for testimony. FTX failed last month in what was essentially a cryptocurrency version of a bank run when customers tried to withdraw their assets all at once because of growing doubts about the financial strength of the company and its affiliated trading arm, Alameda Research. Since its collapse, FTX's new management has called the cryptocurrency exchange's management a, quote, complete failure of corporate controls. Bankman-Fried has admitted his own failures in preventing the collapse. In a series of tweets to Waters, Bankman-Fried listed specific issues he would like to discuss with the committee, including the solvency of FTX's U.S. business, its American customers, and possible solutions for returning assets to international clients. He also said he would talk about what he thinks led to the crash and, quote, my own failings. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX market movers, Bank of the Bahamas moving 6,000 shares, closing at 257 unchanged. Colina Holdings moving 5,000, closing unchanged at 853. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 2,627.60 unchanged. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. We're back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. We are talking with Kamal Nuri with Preventative Measures in our Safe and Sound series about business security and safety tips during the holidays. Okay, you mentioned earlier about security guards, the importance of that, and them looking the part. You know, that is, well, that's interesting. Let's get a definition on what that means, and we'll see if what we see often around here aligns with that. But let's talk about that. What does that mean?
First of all, let's understand the definition now, because it's expanded, especially during the holiday season, where we see law enforcement, police officers taking on security guard roles in addition to the traditional or regular operating security officers. So we see both armed, which is usually the Royal Bahamas Police Force, who have been privately engaged. In addition, we see the traditional security officer who normally operates. So this speaks to both groups, because I've seen in my observation, I've advised in my observation, where notwithstanding that you are armed, notwithstanding that you're in uniform, you need to have a sense of situational awareness. You need to be dressed properly. You need to be alert. You cannot. It's impossible for you to be on your phone in the middle of a retail environment or in a banking environment. This absolutely makes no sense for persons, security guards, police officers who have been employed as security guards, to be standing up at a door or within that business purview on their cell phone texting to whomever. It makes no sense, right? The officers need to be engaging. Good morning, good afternoon, how are you doing? These are little testers that you can use to get a feel for individuals and their intentions. This person is non-responsive, this person is responsive, this person is shying away, this person is giving you body language, so you start to feel and get a better appreciation for who are your customers. This is, a sort of KYC thing that I use from a practical application, not so much from a financial application. And that helps you to remember individuals as well, because you remember that person who smiled back at you, and you're going to definitely remember that person who frowned at you. So there's a question for later engagement. Then you have some type of history, so to speak, to engage that person. So you need to be present and correct. You need to be on your feet, on alert, no devices. You need to have and understand the environment that you're working in. Certainly the business has a responsibility as well to give that individual, law enforcement, cannot take it for granted that you've privately engaged a police officer and they understand the dynamics of your business. You need to give them directives, because they have now been employed by you to act. So you need to give them certain directives on how you want them or what you want them to do. This is important. Same thing with security guards. There should be standing operating procedures for your security guard. And again, this is not something that's just happening for the holiday season. Anytime you bring in an individual, a third-party entity, who's going to be assisting in your overall protective initiative, your protection efforts, they should have some guidelines to work with. What are their rules of engagement for incidents that occur? From as simple as a disruptive customer, to a customer who's discovered stealing, to somebody who's committing armed robbery, to a staff member who is disruptive, or a staff member who is discovered stealing. What is the role of that security guard in that process? And when I say security guard, again, I want to reiterate police officers who are now providing private engagement to various businesses.
And we shouldn't necessarily, well, what you're saying doesn't necessarily rule out someone being in their 70s and being a retiree being a security guard or officer, right?
Not at all. It doesn't rule them out, but you want to be able to, they should be able to perform. Because again, whether it's a retiree, whether it's a young person who just came in, who has no clue. So you have to balance, ability with knowledge. That's that person who is older may have more experience, may have a better feel for how to manage a disruptive event, may know what to do, how to respond. Whereas that new person or that younger person who has limited experience, and they're young, they're fit and they can maneuver, but they don't know how to apply that particular skill set or that response. So you have to manage it. And again, Dwight, yours to my point, give them rules, give them, and hopefully they can, well, I shouldn't say this, but anyway, I won't say that. give them rules, give them guidelines on how they are to perform, monitor that performance, and if you're not getting that service from the police, from the guard service provider, have them remove the individual. There's no sense paying for a service and you're not getting the service.
Okay, this text here, and this will lead us into just some final tips for everybody from you, Gamal. But this text here is saying, please address the problem of no security at ATMs in evenings and weekends. We're all afraid to get cash or deposit checks during non-business hours. Is it financial institutions' responsibility? That's a whole other show here. That's a whole show.
It is when you can't do any of the services that you need.
That's a trick question, man. That's a trick question. That's a trick question. No, I think that that's something they need to explore with their specific financial institutions. But what I encourage, there are usually ATMs deployed at various service stations, and I think you should take advantage of those during the evening hours if you don't feel safe. If you don't feel safe going to that drive-through or to that ATM at the actual branch, then I think all of them, not all, but certainly a good number of institutions do have their ATMs rolled out at various 24-hour providers. So there's safety in numbers in going into that service station perhaps versus going into the branch after hours if you don't feel safe. And I would say that even during the day, I mean, and you have to just trust your gut. Maybe in the middle of the day, and it's still there's potential for things to occur.
Absolutely. All right. So other tips that you give to folks during this time. The business people as well, and customers, consumers. What would you say to folks during the holidays?
I would say stay aware, understand that this is the time for celebration and festivities, but this also gives the criminal mind feels that there's more opportunity. So stay aware, try to move in groups, especially for, in the evening, have a buddy, a friend, 3-4 persons, and that's if you're gonna have a good time. Don't travel alone. If that's totally impossible, if everybody's living in separate locations, get on the phone. WhatsApp has a group call system, create a group. And as everybody is heading home, you keep everybody on the phone until they're safely inside. Can't cost to you. Just create a group and keep in contact. Keep that situational awareness. Share information. If things are happening, tell people. Let everyone know that, hey, I've seen this happen. Observed this. Hopefully we get legitimate stories, but I think you want to stay aware and alert as to what's happening in the environment, understand the risks, going out late into the evening, there's also traffic issues. So just be aware of what's happening. The police, go to the police. The police has I think they have a document out. The Royal Bahamas Police Force has a document out that has quite a bit of tips on from shopping to, if you're going to have festivities. So I'd suggest, downloading that and keeping that as a little review. Go over it with your family and friends, to have a quiz on it. I'm just, just throwing things so that it doesn't become a laborious type activity and that it becomes, hey, that this is what's happening now in our society always. And, holiday season or no holidays, criminals don't take the day off, eh?
Yeah, no. Okay, so we're out of time, but Stephen says about go digital, but this texter just came in, says you need to have something to give the robber or you could get shot for not having anything at all. Wait. What do you say to that?
No. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Yeah, I don't agree with that philosophy. Whatever you have is what you have.
Yeah.
You can't. You don't know what their threshold is. So okay, I have $1. I have $100. They were looking for $5. So now do you have $5?
Negotiate with them. Say, hey, we both in the same boat. Let's go robbing people together, and maybe they'll let you go.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't control that. The only thing you control is your response. And you can control your behavior, and you can reduce to these criminal activities.
Yeah.
But to say trying to overthink the robbers, I don't think that's necessarily good.
But you all really dumb, Look at me, babe.
No, don't say that.
Money.
Don't say that.
You're
right.
Dumb.
Right. And I agreed with Stephen's point too. As much transactions as you can do digitally, virtually. There's some layers of protection there, and you do that's the best. That's probably one of the safest things to do as well.
Yeah. Kamal Nuri, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great advice. And wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And we will talk again in the new year.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Dwight. To you both, guys, be safe, enjoy, and look forward to seeing you guys next month, which is next year.
That's right, 2023. Get used to saying
sir.
that. Okay,
Indeed.
enjoy. Stephen Hanna, I'll see you next week. I'll be back Monday morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Everybody have a safe, wonderful weekend. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
Yeah.